Hello and welcome to the 2008 High School Mock Trial Competition. I'm Dan Schellenberger of the Ohio Channel. We're coming to you from the beautiful and historic old Ohio State House in a snowy downtown Columbus. This room currently serves as the committee hearing room for the Ohio Senate, but it was originally the law library for the Ohio Supreme Court and thereby an appropriate setting for this event. In 1901, the Supreme Court heard cases here, right in the room above us, and due to a constitutional glitch, there were actually two sitting Supreme Courts with 3 justices each. Today, of course, there's only one court with the 7 justices. In 2004, the Ohio Supreme Court opened its new chambers in the Ohio Judicial Center, which is just a few blocks away. The Ohio Center for Law-Related Education coordinates these annual mock trials. More than 300 teams have been competing this year to get here. Our teams today are Centerville High School out of Montgomery County and Lake Ridge Academy from Lorain County. The winning team today will advance to the national tournament in Washington, D.C. And joining me now is Addie Natalie from the Ohio Center for Law-Related Education and coordinator of this event. Addie, thank you for joining us. And can you tell us a little bit about the case that they're going to be talking about today?
Well, every year we have a case committee of attorneys from around Ohio who writes a constitutional-based case, an original case for the students each and every year. That's one of the things that makes Ohio's mock trial program pretty unique compared to the others around the nation. This year's trial features a class between the People's Church versus the city of Urbanopolis. Essentially, the People's Church has allowed homeless individuals to sleep on their property, and the city itself is against the individuals sleeping there, as it has created a health issue within the city itself. The church is seeking an injunction, arguing that the city's actions unconstitutionally burden the free exercise of religion clause. So essentially, we have a battle by the First and 14th Amendments, giving us today's constitutionally based trial. So
they've been competing here for the last couple of days.
Yes, that's correct. We are at right now the state competition. These more than 300 teams started at a district competition, 30 different sites around the state in the beginning of February. Those were whittled down to about 100 who competed at our regional competition earlier this year. And then from there we have the state competition. 22 teams joined us yesterday to begin the state finals. It's a single elimination process, and gave us our 2 winning teams today.
And the snow was kind of a little bit of a surprise, but we're trying to cram everything here in this last day. Now, what are the average ages? Are these usually upperclassmen that are doing these arguments?
These students are any ages from 9th through 12th grade. These students have been doing this program in high school from 1 to 4 years, but we actually have a middle school mock trial program as well. We're starting to see students who were involved with that middle school mock trial program and continuing on. So we could have students participating from the last 6 years at least.
Now, this case is not a real actual case. Who determines what the cases will be?
Our case committee begins meeting in May. Which we have this year. To technology is another option that was brought up. From there, the case committee reconvenes a few weeks later after thinking about the case options, and then they start putting together different witnesses that they think might be useful in a trial like this, as well as a case law and ordinances, which are included in the case manual the students receive in September.
Well, and it looks like they just came into the room, so we're going to be joining the trial momentarily.
All rise. Hear ye, hear ye. The U.S. District Court of Franklin County, Ohio is open pursuant to adjournment. All having business before this honorable court draw near, give attention, and you shall be heard.
Thank you. You may be seated. Before we begin this afternoon, I wanted to introduce the panel that will be hearing your case. I'm Judge Peggy Bryant, and I would start down at this end and ask the other members of the panel to introduce themselves as well.
Gary Daniels, Associate Director for the American Civil Liberties Union of Ohio.
Rob Ware, President of the Ohio State Bar Association.
Jeff Ginsburg, I'm a magistrate in Holmes County.
Mike Fain, I'm a judge of the 2nd District Court of Appeals in Dayton.
Jerry McBride, I'm a judge of the Claremont County Court of Common Pleas.
Is the plaintiff ready for our opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Plaintiff, you may begin with your opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. But before I begin, I'd like to introduce my team. My co-counsel is Kelsie King, who will be giving closing arguments. Behind me, Meagan Woodall will be playing Pastor Robin Pease, and Christine Lee will be playing Dr. Sidney Patel. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Please.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. My name is Adam Kouroupas, and I represent the plaintiff, People's Church. Your Honors, we are here today to decide whether the city of Urbanopolis has any right to interfere with the religious principles of the People's Church. The People's Church of Urbanopolis is located in a thriving part of Urbanopolis on Buckeye Avenue. Its congregation is a small, yet devoted one of 300 members strong. The congregation is led by Pastor Robin A. Pease, who has been the head pastor for 5 years now and a devoted member for 15. The People's Church's congregation have a deeply rooted religious belief in helping the less fortunate. 3 years ago, they acted on this belief by allowing the homeless to spend the night on church's grounds. As word got out that there was a safe place to sleep at night with a medical doctor on hand, the homeless population began to grow at a sanctuary that's available nowhere else within the city. Your Honors, 1 month ago, the sacred grounds of the church were violated. City police forces marched onto the property and ordered the homeless to be dispersed. The 8 homeless that remained on church grounds were then promptly arrested. Their belongings were then taken away and thrown away in the city dump. Your Honors, we are here today to make sure this never happens again. The People's Church is requesting an order from this court that would enjoin the city from dispersing the homeless who take refuge on the church's grounds. The city's raids have placed a substantial burden on the church's sincerely held religious belief. The city may try to justify its claims by claiming that it is enforcing neutral and generally applicable laws. However, the evidence will show that these laws are not religion neutral, as homeless sleep outside in other public places as well. The same behavior that is targeted at the church is ignored elsewhere. The city's justification is merely an excuse to interfere with the church's sincerely held religious belief. Today we will be hearing from Pastor Robin A. Pease. Pastor Pease has been the head pastor for the People's Church for 5 years now and a devoted member for 15 years. Pastor Pease lives directly on the church's grounds and interacts with the homeless daily. She will tell us that the homeless are of no threat to the public and are simply trying to make ends meet and have a safe place to sleep at night. Throughout her testimony, you observe Pastor Pease's deep religious convictions and her belief that the city has no right to deny her religious calling of helping the less fortunate. We will also be hearing from Dr. Sidney Patel today. Dr. Patel is the General Medicine Director for the Fair County Free Health Clinic. Dr. Patel has held this position since it's opened its doors a decade ago. Dr. Patel is an expert in the field of medicine and has taken part in many educational programs to further her expertise. Dr. Patel has firsthand experience with the homeless because she's actually on the church's grounds and administers to the homeless 4 to 5 nights a week. Dr. Patel will tell us that the homeless receive the best medical care possible when they're on the church's grounds and that they are truly thankful for the care and comfort that they receive. Your Honors, The People's Church is requesting an order from this court that would enjoin the city from dispersing the homeless who take refuge on church grounds. Pastor Pease and her entire congregation willingly accept the homeless into their arms and care and are asking that you allow them to continue to do so. Your Honors, just as immigrants sailed to our country years ago, they arrived at Ellis Island and they saw a glowing beacon in the distance. The Statue of Liberty was their sign that they were at last free. Free to practice whatever religion they wanted and free of religious persecution. Just as America provides a home for the tired, the poor, and the huddled masses, so too does the church wish to provide the homeless with the same opportunity, an opportunity that's been forcibly taken away by the city. Thank you, Your Honors.
Thank you. Defense?
Before I begin, I would like to introduce the 2008 Lakeridge Academy mock trial team. I'm Kendall Szulewski-Francis, and my co-counsel is Rubina Ratnaparkhi, and today we will be representing the city of Urbanopolis. Portraying the character of Mr. Sam Bauer is Dominic Gazzo, and portraying the character of Ms. Dale Dobbins is Diane Colley. May it please the court. Your Honors, just as national governments have the duty to protect the rights of its citizens, local governments, like that in Urbanopolis, have the duty to protect the overall well-being of all of its citizens. The government of Urbanopolis, Your Honors, has taken great care in developing a comfortable and progressive town that cares deeply about all of its citizens, homeless included. Today, Your Honors, we will hear that the city of Urbanopolis is a wonderful place to live. However, in recent years, the fine reputation of our city has been negatively altered by the People's Church. As we will hear, the city truly appreciates the church's attempt to help the homeless. However, in its process to aid the homeless, the church has exposed Urbanopolis to public health risks, has created a public nuisance, and is using an area that does not even serve the homeless well. In dispersing the homeless, Your Honors, from the church's property, the city simply acted as it would against any other violation to the city's law. Today, Your Honor, the defense will be proving three things. 1, public nuisance. The presence of the homeless citizens at the People's Church is creating a public nuisance in the city of Urbanopolis. As we will hear, the definition of public nuisance is an act or failure to act that injuriously affects the safety, health, or morals of the public, or works some substantial annoyance, inconvenience, or injury to the public. 2, neutrality and general applicability of the law. Your Honors, the public nuisance law of Urbanopolis in no way targets a specific religion or group of followers. As we will hear, the city's actions are in no way hindering a specific religious practice. And therefore, Your Honors, the First Amendment is not being violated in our city. And 3, narrowly tailored governmental interest. Your Honors, the government of Urbanopolis has the duty to protect all of its citizens. As we will hear, the actions of the city are not only neutral to all citizens, but they impose an incidental burden upon the church. Your Honors, the city's actions are permissible due to the fact that the enforcement of the law was pursued in a narrowly tailored manner to meet a compelling governmental interest. Today, Your Honors, the defense will be calling 2 witnesses to the stand, Mr. Sam Bauer and Ms. Dale Dobbins. Mr. Sam Bauer, Your Honors, owns the Viennese coffee shop that sits across the street from the People's Church. From Mr. Bauer, we will hear of the negative effect that this outreach program has had on one of the economic centers of our town. Also from Mr. Bauer, we will hear of the poor reputation that this program has given the innocent homeless citizens and the area around the People's Church. Ms. Dale Dobbins, Your Honors, who is the Chief Public Health Officer for Urbanopolis, will testify to the fact that the presence of the homeless citizens at the People's Church is creating a public nuisance. Ms. Dobbins will also testify to the neutrality of the city's actions, given the fact that the same health codes apply to all buildings in the city, and not just religious structures. Your Honors, the city of Urbanopolis is not against the homeless or the People's Church. However, the government has the duty to protect all of its citizens. At the end of today's proceedings, Your Honor, We, the City of Urbanopolis, ask you to deny the plaintiff's motion for preliminary injunction. Thank you.
Thank you. If the bailiff would swear in all of the witnesses, please.
Will all witnesses and parties who are to give testimony in these proceedings please step to the front? Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and your testimony will comply with the rules of the Ohio mock trial competition? I do.
Thank you, bailiff. Plaintiff may call its first witness.
Thank you, Your Honors. The plaintiff would like to call Pastor Robin A. Pease to the stand.
Pastor Pease.
Yes. Please state your name for the court.
My name is Robin A. Pease.
And what is your current occupation?
I am the head pastor at the People's Church in Urbanopolis.
How long ago did you become pastor there?
Well, I became an associate pastor at the church 15 years ago, and then 5 years ago, the head pastor retired, and so I was called to take his position.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Would the record reflect that I'm showing opposing counsel an unmarked copy of Exhibit B? Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It is a map of the People's Church and its vicinity.
Thank you. Where do you currently reside?
I live in a home provided for me, which is marked B on the map. It's provided for me by the church, and it's adjacent to the breezeway on Buckeye Avenue.
Have you lived in Urbanopolis all of your life?
No, I actually grew up just south of Dixieland.
Did you attend college?
I did. I attended Midwestern University, and I graduated in 1989 with a degree in philosophy.
Did you continue your education after your degree in philosophy?
Well, while I was attending Midwestern, I realized that they had one of the best theology programs in the nation. And so I graduated in 1991 with my doctorate in theology.
Could you please describe the congregation of the People's Church?
While our congregation may not be the largest in Urbanopolis, we have roughly 300 members. What we lack in size, we make up for in spirit. We're very kind and generous, and we're committed to fulfilling our religious mission.
Living in Urbanopolis for the past 15 years, do you see a problem with the homeless people?
I most definitely do.
When did you first really notice this problem?
3 years ago, I was driving from one appointment to another in the city, and I noticed the disparity with which the homeless people were living in Urbanopolis. People were sleeping on the steps of the library. They were sleeping on porches of private residences, and they were even sleeping on park benches. And I realized then that something further had to be done.
What did you attempt to do to help the homeless people?
It's around that time that we began to allow the homeless to sleep on our property.
Does the church have a mission as it involves the homeless?
We do. Our church's mission, in its most basic form, is that all are welcome. We minister to both the rich and the poor, and it doesn't matter if you live in a mansion or you don't have a house at all. But the fact is, when you come to the People's Church and step on its property, that you're sharing a common fellowship with God. And that's really our mission, to help the less fortunate and to make everyone feel like they are welcome.
Do you associate with the homeless people?
Daily, yes.
How so?
Well, each morning I go and I talk to the homeless and preach with them. Also, once or twice a week we have an organist who comes in and we all worship outside together.
Besides allowing the homeless to sleep on your property, what else does the church offer the homeless people?
We offer them both physical, spiritual, emotional support, anything that they need that they wouldn't be getting anywhere else. We also offer them care. Dr. Patel from the Fair County Free Health Clinic comes, and we also have the members of our congregation are more than willing to help out. We have doctors in our congregation who help the homeless as well.
Does the community help with the church's efforts to aid the homeless?
Yes, as I said, members of our congregation are more than willing to help out. We hold food drives and clothing drives for the homeless quarterly, and we find that the stores like Kroger or Walmart give us gift cards, and various members of the community also give us clothes and food to distribute to the homeless.
Could you please describe the religious celebrations the church enacts?
Well, we have our regular religious services throughout the week, but as I said, once or twice a week an organist comes in and we worship with the homeless together outside.
Why do you do these things for the homeless?
Objection, Your Honor. This would call the witness to give character testimony.
Your Honor, the question I'm asking the witness is involving the religious mission, and the free exercise of religion is a major part of this case, as well as interference with that, and the religious mission is part of that scope of religion.
Objection is overruled.
Could you please repeat the question?
Of course. Why do you do the things for the homeless?
We do it because it's an essential part of our religious mission. We're called to help the less fortunate, and so we do. It's extremely rewarding, and everyone, not even myself included, but the rest of the congregation is more than willing to do that.
Is the city interfering with your efforts to help the homeless?
Definitely. Before, when the homeless were allowed to sleep on our property, they could receive the spiritual aid that they needed. And now, since they've been forced off of the property, I can't do that. I can't help them with the spiritual aid, or I can't even fulfill my mission or my church's mission because they're not there. And to me, the city's actions seem unreasonable.
Do the homeless people on your property ever leave any trash behind?
They leave wrappers, cups. We ask them to respect the property, but we do have volunteers who come in daily and clean up the property.
Until this recent police investigation, has the church ever been cited for violation of any city ordinance?
Never.
And has the church ever been cited by the health department as a health risk?
Not one time.
Thank you, Your Honors. No further questions for the witness at this time. May I retrieve my exhibit? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Cross.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Pastor Pease. My name is Kendall Szulewski-Francis, and I will be asking you a few questions today. Pastor, you seldom quote the good book, correct?
I find that it's more rewarding to share experiences together. I do quote the good book, but it is seldom.
So therefore it's a true statement to say you believe actions speak louder than words, yes?
Well, I think that actions are a large part of it. I think that by breathing and acting in the words of the Lord, that's how we fulfill our mission.
So yes, Pastor?
I think that actions and words are of great importance. However, if I had to choose one, I would choose actions.
So you developed a plan to help the less fortunate in your community, true?
Well, we've always helped the less fortunate. It was just 3 years ago that we let the homeless sleep on the property because we found there was an increasing number of them with nowhere to go in the city.
Your Honors, at this time I make the request that the witness's answer be stricken given the fact that it was narrative to the question asked.
Your Honors, my witness, Pastor Pease, believed that the answer to the opposing counsel's question required more than a yes or no answer and felt the need to elaborate to fully explain herself.
I'll let the answer stand this time, but in the future you'll want to answer the question, and then if your counsel on redirect would like to bring out anything further, she may do so.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, yes, Pastor, you developed a plan to help the homeless in the city, correct?
Yes.
And you stated that you felt the great unmet need to assist the homeless in Urbanopolis really struck you one night 3 years ago, correct?
Yes, because the city hadn't helped them before.
And you were alone in your car, correct?
I was driving from one appointment to another, as I did say.
So your church made it its mission after seeing these homeless that one night, correct?
No, that's not true. We've always helped the less fortunate. We've always helped the homeless, as I've said. It was just 3 years ago that we decided to allow them to sleep on the property.
However, you did create a plan to allow them to sleep on the property, correct?
Yes.
And you made this plan because you believed that the homeless seemed vulnerable, correct?
It's part of our mission to help them. They are the less fortunate, unfortunately, and we did make it our mission, myself and the board on the church committee and the congregation made it our mission.
Your Honor, again, I request that the court strike the witness's answer, given the fact.
Your Honor, since the witness answered no to her question, she felt that she should explain what the actual answer to the question would be.
I'm not going to confine her to a yes and no to every question. That answer may stand. You can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the homeless seem vulnerable to you, correct?
Well, they're sleeping on park benches and
So
on
yes,
the steps
Pastor?
of the library. Of course they're vulnerable.
To physical attacks and threats, yes?
Yes.
And these homeless citizens, as you stated, were sleeping outside in the park, true?
Yes, on a bench or on the library steps or even on the porches of private homes.
And this seemed morally wrong to you, didn't it? I mean, as a human being, correct?
Well, I think that they needed a place to go. They needed someone to help them.
So yes, morally wrong.
It is part of my mission, my moral mission, to help them. So yes, it was.
Thank you, Pastor. You are the only head pastor at the People's Church, correct?
Yes.
And you developed a strategic plan to help the homeless, correct?
Along with the congregation and the members of the church board.
And you believed that your members of the congregation would step up and help the less fortunate, true?
And they definitely have.
So currently the church is implementing your plan to help the homeless, yes?
Not only my plan, it's my plan, but it's also the congregation's plan, and it's also the church board's plan, and it's God's plan.
So you, as you stated, you did create a strategic plan, correct?
Along with everyone else.
And you did not found the People's Church, did you?
No, the church has been around long before my time.
Thank you, Pastor. Now moving on, the words "all are welcome in this house of worship" are etched in stone above the entryway of your church, correct?
Yes, and all are welcome.
But to clarify, the homeless do not sleep inside the church, correct?
They choose to sleep in two places. They sleep either on the lawn by the stairs or they sleep underneath the breezeway.
So yes, Pastor, they do not sleep inside the church, correct?
They choose to sleep outside.
And they sleep in an open breezeway, correct?
They sleep under one, yes. They choose to.
However, the two sides of the breezeway are still open, correct?
Yes.
And they're open to natural elements such as wind and rain, correct?
Well, if that's where they want to sleep, then who am I to deny that feeling of being safe to them?
However, Pastor, the church does close and lock its doors at night, correct?
No, it doesn't.
Therefore, so Pastor, as you stated, they sleep outside, yes?
They choose to, yes.
So the conditions, the outdoor conditions of the park hardly differ from that of the outdoor conditions of your church's property, correct?
There are worlds away. I mean, sleeping on a park bench is totally different than sleeping under a breezeway with blankets, with food, with shelter, with spiritual and emotional support.
Thank you, Pastor. So yes, they are still sleeping outside just as they were in the park on your property, correct?
They choose to sleep outside, and so they continue to do so.
So yes, Pastor.
Yes.
Pastor, also you stated once or twice a week an organist comes and joins you at the church, correct?
Yes, and we all worship together.
And you stated that you can hear the music all the way into the breezeway, correct?
Well, we're all celebrating outside, so I would assume that you can hear it at the breezeway, which is on church property.
And you understand, as you stated, how this can be seen as disorderly conduct, correct?
Well, it's church music being played on church grounds. I can see...
Pastor, can you see this, as you stated, you can see this as disorderly conduct, correct?
I can see how someone can perceive it so, because we're loud, and sometimes the exuberance of the moment makes us perhaps be even louder, but it's church music.
Your Honors, at this time, I ask to strike the witness's answer.
Your Honors, opposing counsel asked my witness a question to see if others could perceive this, which in itself is speculation, but in trying to explain her answer, she was trying to explain both sides of the speculative question the opposing counsel asked.
The witness is not answering the questions directly. I'll strike that answer, let you ask the question again, and we'll try again.
Thank you, Your Honor. You did state how you can see this to be considered disorderly conduct, correct?
I can see how it can be perceived, yes.
Thank you, Pastor. You've also stated that the homeless have left cups, wrappers, other trash on your property, true?
Just little things.
But yes, they have left trash?
Yes, we have people who clean it up.
And, Pastor, you sometimes hold morning church services outside, correct?
Yes, I find it's one of the most rewarding times we have.
And this is so the homeless can worship side by side with you, correct?
And share in the fellowship of the Lord, yes.
And those services have not been stopped by the city, have they?
People haven't been coming back since the city basically mandated that everyone be taken off the property and people were arrested. The homeless are reluctant to come back. I can't fulfill my mission.
Your Honor, once again, I ask the witness's answer to be stricken given the fact that it was non-responsive.
Opposing counsel did ask if the homeless could come back, and she did say that they were reluctant to come back, trying to explain her answer to more than a yes or no question.
I'm going to allow you to ask the question again and allow you to answer it again. I won't strike the answer that's been given, but I'm going to let you ask it again to see if you can get an answer to the question you asked.
Thank you, Your Honor. So these morning services, yes or no, have not been stopped by the city, correct?
No.
Thank you. You still hold your blanket and clothing drives, correct?
Yes, although it is harder to distribute because people are reluctant.
However, you still are permitted to hold them, correct?
As I said, yes. Yes.
And those have not been stopped by the city, correct?
Again, people don't come back, but no, they haven't been stopped.
Thank you. So out of all of the parts of your plan, the food drives, the medical services, the clothing drives, the only thing the city has stopped is the homeless sleeping on the church's property, correct?
What they have stopped is that I cannot provide the spiritual support that I need to do to fulfill my mission.
Please answer the question, Pastor. Out of all parts of your program, food, clothing, medical services, the only thing the city has stopped is the homeless sleeping on the property, correct?
No, as I was trying to say, they've also stopped me being able to spiritually administer and minister to the homeless.
However, in providing for the homeless these specific services, non-religious, the only thing the city has stopped is the homeless sleeping on the property. True?
You said it right there, non-religious, but yes, that is true.
And Pastor, the homeless are welcome to come back to the church, correct?
Yes, they are reluctant to come back because many of them were arrested.
However, Pastor, they are still allowed to come back, correct?
I did say yes.
So once again, the homeless are still welcome to come and give the things you offer, such as medical services and food, correct?
Dr. Patel hasn't been coming back because no one is coming back to the church. They can
At this time, I would like to strike the witness's answer, given the fact that it is invention of fact and speculation on the witness's part.
Your Honor, to address the first issue, invention of facts is allowed on cross-examination as long as it does not contradict the witness's statement, and this does not contradict Pastor Pease's statement. The second of facts is a non-responsive answer. Opposing counsel asked a question which the witness needed to elaborate on so as to fully understand the question that was asked.
Striking the answer is non-responsive.
Thank you. Once again, Pastor, the homeless are still welcome to come back and receive the services you offer, yes?
If they want to, yes.
Thank you. No further questions at this time, Your Honors.
Thank you. Redirect?
Yes, sir.
Pastor Pease, can you still administer to the homeless the way you did before when the homeless were on your property?
Definitely not.
Because
they've been forced off the property by the church. They're reluctant to come back.
Thank you, Your Honors. No further questions.
Thank you. Any recross?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly. Pastor, whether or not they choose to come back to your church's property, they are still welcome to, correct?
I believe I said that on cross, yes.
Yes, and you still offer these services to them, yes?
Yes.
And they're still able to get and receive the services you do offer, yes?
If they come back, they can.
And just to clarify, they are welcome to come back, correct?
Yes, the city doesn't want them back.
Thank you, Pastor. Your Honors, no further questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. I'd like to make call its next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I'd like to call Dr. Sidney Patel to the stand. Can you please state your name and occupation for the court?
My name is Sidney Patel, and I'm the General Medicine Clinical Director for the Fair County Free Health Clinic, more commonly known as the FCFHC.
How long have you been employed at the FCFHC?
I've been working at the FCFHC for the past 10 years, so I've been with them since they first opened their doors.
Prior to working at the FCFHC, have you worked anywhere else?
Yes, prior to working at the FCFHC, I took up a permanent position at the Urbanopolis Memorial Hospital, which I held for several years before working at the FCFHC.
Where and when did you receive your medical degree?
I received my medical degree in 1990 from the University of Whitaker School of Medicine.
Have you completed any residency programs?
Yes, I have. I completed my residency program at the Urbanopolis Memorial Hospital.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like the court to recognize Dr. Patel as an expert in the field of medicine. According to Rule 702, Dr. Patel has demonstrated an expert knowledge with a medical degree and has been a practicing doctor for the past 15 years now.
You deemed qualified.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Patel, what inspired you to join the FCFHC?
Well, while I was working at the Urbanopolis Memorial Hospital, I noticed that every year an increasing number of the homeless were unable to pay for their health care. They were dispersed and scattered all over the city, sleeping on the porches of private residences. They were sleeping on park benches and under awnings, and I knew that something had to be done. So when I heard what the FCFHC was doing, I was definitely eager to get on board.
Objection, Your Honor. I ask that the witness's testimony be stricken, and this is outside the scope of the witness's deposition.
I respond, Your Honor.
Yes.
In the deposition, it clearly says on lines, if you excuse me for a second. Sorry. In lines 10 through 12, it does say, while at Urbanopolis Memorial Hospital, I noticed that the number of homeless, unemployed, and working poor who were unable to pay for health care was increasing every year. When I heard about the opening of the FCFHC, I was eager to get on board, which is exactly what she testified to.
And how do you think that she's varied from that?
Well, Your Honors, the witness has elaborated extensively regarding where and when the homeless sleep. The witness has said that they sleep in park benches, on library steps, and all of that. And all that she said in her statement was that they were spread out in the community. And I feel that such an elaboration as to the exact sleeping situations of the homeless across the city is an unreasonable extrapolation that could materially alter the case.
I respond, Your Honor. Pastor Pease just testified previously about all the things that counsel has mentioned, and Dr. Patel was here in the courtroom.
I think we have the issue before us, and I will strike the answer as not being supported in her deposition.
Can you describe the typical patient at the Fayette County Free Health Clinic?
Well, at first, our typical patient was a referral from the Urbanopolis Memorial Hospital, but soon, with help from the People's Church, I believe, word spread among the community, and we began receiving referrals from various government agencies as well.
How have you heard of the People's Church?
I work with them, and I work with them to help with the homeless.
When did you first become aware of the homeless congregating on church's property?
It was in about 2004.
Do you have any direct contact with the homeless?
Yes, I do.
How so?
I try to be at the church 4 to 5 evenings a week to help administer to them.
And do you provide any treatments?
Yes, I do. I provide follow-up care for wounds from physical altercation, such as stab wounds or bullet wounds when needed. I provide follow-up care for skin infections and other various health problems, such as scabies, scurvy, frostbite, and poor nutrition.
Besides the physical treatments, are there any other services that you or the FCFHC provide?
Actually, yes. Just recently, we started a health education program to raise awareness among the homeless as to prevent common diseases.
On average, when are you at the church?
4 to 5 evenings.
Have you observed any disturbances on the church's grounds?
I've seen 1 or 2.
Can you explain?
Well, in the past 4 years, I have seen 1 or 2 incidences of somebody going to the bathroom outside on church property, but this is no different nowadays than what you can see on college campuses or from large groups leaving stadiums after football games or sporting events.
Do you have time in your day to make visits to each homeless person not on church's grounds?
No.
Overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have you observed any change in health complaints among the homeless since they began sleeping there?
Yes, I have. I have noticed a decline in the number of complaints related to exposure-related health problems, also due to complaints from wounds from physical altercations and also from poor nutrition.
Has any other medical institution noticed a decline as well?
Yes.
And how many outbreaks of communicable diseases has Urbanopolis recorded since the church began housing the homeless?
None.
And in your professional opinion, has the health issues with the homeless increased or decreased since they began sleeping there?
I believe that they have definitely decreased.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you. Examination?
Yes, Your Honors. Good afternoon, Dr. Patel. I'm Rubina Ratnaparkhi, and I'm going to be asking you a few questions today. Now, you've provided follow-up care for those homeless individuals who sleep on the property of the People's Church, correct?
Correct.
And you've provided follow-up care from referrals from those who treat them directly on the property, correct?
We receive referrals from the Urbanopolis Memorial Hospital and government agencies.
But including these, you have received referrals from medical professionals on the church, correct?
Some.
And you've treated these homeless patients based on referrals for stab wounds, correct?
I've seen a couple.
You've treated them for bullet wounds as well?
Which they received before coming to the People's Church for follow-up care.
Your Honor, at this time I ask that the witness's answer be stricken as it is speculatory. The witness specifically stated that she treats them on referrals from the people who treat them directly on the property. Therefore, as she was not there at the property, she cannot see where they got these wounds.
She was merely trying to elaborate on a question asked by counsel.
But you would concede that it's not supported as an extrapolation from her deposition testimony?
No, these are referrals, therefore they would have had to come from somewhere off the church's property. So I think that that was a reasonable extrapolation.
And that was your argument, that it was not a reasonable extrapolation?
I maintain that it's not a reasonable extrapolation. She did agree that these referrals do come from the medical professionals who treat them on the property of the church, Your Honors.
And is that in her deposition testimony?
Yeah, on lines 20 through 22, it says, frequently we receive referrals from members of the church's congregation who are medical professionals and volunteer their time to provide care and treatment to the homeless. And then on 22 and 23, it says, we provide follow-up care for the patients with wounds.
Your Honor.
And therefore, it would be including her, and she is part of the Fair County Free Health Clinic, so that she personally would be treating these injuries. So she therefore would have knowledge of what is going on.
Your Honors, Counselor has conveniently skipped the line on line 222, where it says, frequently we receive referrals from members of the church's congregation who are medical professionals and volunteer their time to provide care and treatment to the homeless who sleep on the property, Your Honors. It says that clearly in the witness's statement on line 22.
Let me just take a look at the deposition testimony here for a moment.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to overrule the objection and let the answer stand.
Thank you, Your Honor.
But correct, Dr. Patel, you have treated these homeless individuals for stab wounds?
I've seen a couple.
Bullet wounds?
One or two.
And you've also treated these homeless individuals, some of whom sleep on the property of the People's Church, for diseases that result from improper shelter and exposure, correct?
Yes.
These diseases include frostbite?
Yes.
Scabies?
Yes.
Scurvy? And even other types of infections?
Yes, which they received before coming to the church for follow-up care.
But they did have them as they were sleeping on the church property, correct?
Prior to coming to the People's Church.
Thank you. Now, you also believe that poor health education and poor nutrition are also responsible for some of the problems you see in the homeless, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, you've noticed a decrease in these problems, haven't you?
In many problems.
But in fact, your own FCFHC has started an initiative to treat these exact same problems, correct?
A health education program as to raise awareness among the homeless as to how to prevent common diseases.
And this education initiative is successful, wouldn't you say?
It's becoming more and more successful.
And in fact, you did state that some of the problems associated with the homeless were a result of poor health education?
Yes, poor nutrition, actually.
But it also includes poor health education, does it not?
Poor nutrition.
And poor, yes or no, Dr. Patel, does it include
poor health education?
Some of the homeless know very well about health education. Some of them just do not have the means to get the kind of food and nutrition that they need for their bodies.
Your Honor, I asked that the witness be instructed to answer the question. She has not responded as to whether or not poor health education is a cause of some of the problems the homeless face.
Your Honor, she clearly did just answer that question, and she even elaborated further as to explain why that was not true.
Overrule the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Patel, do you remember giving a deposition to this court?
Yes, I do.
And you were instructed to tell the truth, correct?
Yes, I was.
Your Honor's permission to approach the witness regarding the deposition. Let the record reflect I'm showing opposing counsel an unmarked copy. Now, Dr. Patel, could you please read silently as I read aloud lines 25 to 26. Inadequate nutrition and poor health education also contributed to many of the health problems we've treated on a regular basis. Is that an accurate reading?
Of course it is.
Thank you, Dr. Patel. Now, Dr. Patel, it is your opinion that the risk of an outbreak or the spread of communicable disease is no greater than that of a college campus, correct?
Living in college dorms is also close quarters.
But correct, Dr. Patel, people who live in college dorms live in enclosed rooms with 4 walls and a roof, correct?
Yes, they do.
They're not exposed to elements, are they?
No, but the close quarters and enclosed walls could result in an even greater risk of communicable diseases.
In a college campus, correct?
In college dorms.
And in fact, there are walls that separate individual rooms, correct?
Yes.
So students do not have to come in contact with other students should they not wish to, and wish to retire to their own private rooms, correct?
Well, as hopefully you very well know, we do have roommates in college. We room with other people.
But their rooms are separated
Objection,
by
Your
walls?
Honor. The opposing counsel is not letting my witness finish.
Let's let her finish the answer, and then you can follow up with another question.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the witness needs to answer the question that's being asked.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
There's normally more than one person that sleeps in a dorm.
But those who sleep, be it in singles, quads, odds, doubles, these individual rooms are separated by walls and physical barriers, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Overruled.
The rooms are separated by physical barriers, correct?
Yes.
Now, you say that you visited the church regularly since 2004, correct?
4 to 5 evenings a week, yes.
But, however, the homeless have been allowed to sleep on the church property for the entire duration of the night, correct?
If they so wish.
And you were not there to observe them the entire duration of the night, correct?
I cannot be there the entire duration of the night, sadly, so no.
But in fact, you did claim that you saw only 1 or 2 instances where a homeless person defecated on the property, correct?
1 or 2 in the past 4 years, yes.
But to clarify, you are only there 4 to 5 evenings a week?
On average, I'm there 4 to 5 evenings a week. Sometimes I'm there a little more, sometimes a little less.
But the only time that you chose to mention in your sworn statement that you visited the church was the evening time, correct?
Evening time, mostly.
So the time on the church, when they are on the church to sleep at night, and if they come for morning religious services, you are not there to observe the homeless?
I sometimes stay late night. I consider late night also sometimes evenings, but no, I am not there the entire night.
But this time you claim you chose to visit, you didn't think it was important enough to include in your sworn statement, did you?
Excuse me, I don't understand the question.
You did not include any mention of the time you supposedly chose to spend there at night or in the morning in your sworn statement to this court, did you?
I said 4 to 5 evenings a week. Evenings a week I do come.
Thank you. Now, you also claim to have seen a slight decrease in the number of homeless patients who suffer from wounds and medical conditions, correct?
Wounds from physical altercations, exposure-related health problems, and poor nutrition.
But for all of these decreases, you cannot offer the court specific statistics to quantify that decrease, can you?
These are things that I have noticed among complaints among the people that I treat. These are things that people come to me and complain about, and I have noticed a decrease in all of these things.
But you have no statistics or evidentiary support to quantify the amount of that decrease, do you?
I'm telling you, I have contact with my patients regularly, and I know the kind of health complaints that they have because I do communicate with them, and I have noticed that less of them are complaining about exposure-related health problems, like I said, poor nutrition, like I also said, and also from wounds due to physical altercations, which I also stated.
But with all of this testimony, you have no statistics, do you?
No.
Thank you. Now, you also say that there's been a slight decrease in the incidence of some exposure-related diseases, correct?
Yes.
But the homeless do still sleep in an open breezeway that is open on 2 sides, correct?
With a roof.
but it is exposed to elements on two sides, such as wind and rain, correct?
Yes.
Now, you openly admit that the homeless individuals sleeping on the property sleep there as they are healing, correct?
Sometimes, yes.
And they sleep there before they've completely healed, correct?
Some of them do, yes.
And they sleep amongst other homeless people on the property, correct?
Yes.
Who then disperse into the city after they're done sleeping, should they wish to.
Objection, Your Honor. This is calling for speculation.
Your Honor, the witness, may I respond, Your Honors? The witness has testified that she has observed the church and been made aware of the sleeping situation. I think it's a reasonable extrapolation, which is allowed on cross, for her to be able to say that the homeless are free to leave should they wish.
Your Honor, she is aware of the sleeping situations, but she has not ever laid a foundation that she is aware of where they go or what they do after the evening.
Perhaps you need to rephrase your question then as to whether or not they are free to leave.
Yes, Your Honors.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And the homeless who sleep on the property are free to leave and disperse into the city, correct?
Yes, if they so wish.
So there is, as they sleep on the property, an increased risk to come in contact with other homeless citizens you are treating for diseases, correct?
There's an increased risk anywhere else the homeless might congregate. There's an increased risk if they were to congregate at a homeless shelter, which we do not have in Urbanopolis, but yes.
So there is no homeless shelter where the homeless congregate in Urbanopolis,
There
correct?
is no homeless shelter in Urbanopolis.
So you have not mentioned any area of Urbanopolis, such as a homeless shelter, where they congregate, correct?
They congregate on the People's Church.
Thank you. Now, your Fair County Free Health Clinic accepts homeless and unemployed working poor whether or not they can pay, correct?
We treat them for things that they come to us for, yes.
And the homeless are still free to come to the Fair County Free Health Clinic should they wish to receive care?
They can receive follow-up care, but we have a strict rule that says the homeless cannot stay overnight, so they do not get the sleep that they need for their bodies to heal.
But they can receive medical treatment, correct?
Medical treatment, yes.
Furthermore, medical professionals come to the property of the church in the evening, correct?
I do.
And in the evening, the medical professionals have never been told by the city that they cannot provide medical treatment, correct?
No, they have not.
Thank you, Your Honors. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Recross?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, redirect.
It's okay. Dr. Patel, is the amount of skin-related diseases on the rise?
No.
And when do the homeless receive most of their skin-related infections or wounds?
Well, they receive them before coming to the People's Church for help with these problems. They come because they need treatment for these things, and when they come to the People's Church, I do my best to provide care for these people so they can fully recover.
Does Urbanopolis...
I ask that the witness's answer be stricken. It is clear speculation. She has just testified that she has no way of knowing where the homeless go when they are not on the People's Church, and I don't think she should be able to speculate about that very same thing right now.
Your Honor, if I may, she is merely testifying that the majority of her, all of what she treats is either at the homeless, or on the church's grounds, or at the Fair County Free Health Clinic. And I asked her, where did the majority of the homeless get treated? And she said, on the People's Church.
I'll let the answer stand. The objection's overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. Does Urbanopolis have a homeless shelter?
No, they do not.
And you previously treated homeless with poor education before starting the education program?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Recross?
Now, you stated the most likely place for the homeless to congregate would be at a homeless shelter, correct?
Not the most likely, but that is somewhere where they could congregate.
And there is no homeless shelter in Urbanopolis?
No, there's not.
And you do provide health education at the Fair County Free Health Clinic,
We've
correct?
started a program, yes.
And this service is still available to the homeless?
It's not necessarily a service as something that we try to spread word among the homeless.
But you still try to do this, correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. And with that, the plaintiff rests their case.
Yes, Your Honor, we do.
Thank you. Defense may present its first witness.
Yes, Your Honors. At this time, we would like to call Mr. Sam Bauer to the stand.
Bowers?
Mr. Bauer, please state your name for the court.
My name is Sam Bauer.
And what do you do?
Well, I'm the owner of the small Viennese coffee shop in Urbanopolis. Also, I serve as a member on the city's Chamber of Commerce.
Can you please tell the court a little bit about the city of Urbanopolis?
Well, it's a beautiful little town. I can't believe it, but I've been here for 35 years. All the beautiful brick streets, the lovely fountains and architecture though, they all remind me of back home in Vienna. It's a great place to raise a family and own a small business.
Can you please tell us a little bit about your small business, Mr. Bauer?
Well, business had been very good for a while. There were a lot of new shops and galleries opening up in the area, and as a result, more people were coming to the city. You know, naturally I was excited about this, and I was excited too because I saw that I was featured in the Urbanopolis Restaurant Guide. That was great for business. You know, unlike a lot of coffee shops, I decided to start serving breakfast because, you know, I figured I could give my customers a little bit more. You know, I decided to add a patio because I figured with all these new consumers coming to the city, I could attract them to my property if I added a patio. So business had been good for a while, but as of late, sales have decreased and I still haven't recouped the cost of my patio yet.
What do you mean by decrease?
My sales have decreased by 10%. As a businessman, I know exactly what influences my business. And the homeless people, they're negatively doing so.
Objection, Your Honor. This is lack of personal information.
May I respond, Your Honors? Mr. Bauer owns his own business, and as a businessman and an official on the Chamber of Commerce, he can make his own opinion on exactly what is affecting his business.
I don't see a foundation for it at this point. I'll sustain the objection at the moment.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honors. Mr. Bauer, where exactly is your business located?
Well, I'm located right on Buckeye Avenue, across from the People's Church where the homeless people stay.
Well, you mentioned the homeless citizens of Urbanopolis, so what, if anything, can you tell us about them?
Well, the church's outreach program has allowed the People's Church, or the homeless people, pardon me, to stay on the People's Church property overnight for quite a while now. But, I mean, it was just a bad marriage from the start. I mean, since the homeless people have been allowed to stay, I came to work 3 months ago, and I found a homeless person pouring heavens knows what into my flowers. They killed my flowers.
Objection, Your Honor. This is speculation.
Not supported by his testimony?
Well, no, he's implying that the fact that whatever was poured on the flowers killed his flowers, or that the homeless somehow killed it without any foundation.
May I respond, Your Honor? Mr. Bauer has clearly in his statement stated that he caught a homeless person pouring some liquid into his flowers, and therefore he can make his reasonable extrapolation given the fact that they are his flowers, and he did witness this incident.
I'm going to overrule the objection.
Thank you, Your Honors. Please continue, Mr. Bauer.
Well, just last week, I had to chase a panhandling homeless person off my property because he was bothering my customers. I mean, every morning when my customers are trying to sit there and enjoy their breakfast or a cup of coffee or, you know, whatever they're having, they have to look across the street and they see all the trash, the cigarette butts, the debris, the old newspaper, all the stuff that the homeless people leave behind and isn't taken care of until well into the day.
Really? Can you recall any more incidents?
Yes. One night, a man defecated in a bucket and threw it in the bushes in the plain sight of my customers. I felt so bad for the nice little couple, I had to compensate them for their meal. I mean, we've got numerous disturbances, and they're all centered around the homeless people and their presence at the People's Church. I mean, there's been increased crime, and Dopey, the
Objection, Your
local...
Honor. This is also a lack of personal knowledge.
May I respond, Your Honors? Mr. Bauer is talking off of his own personal observations. He personally observed an increase in crime, and he is just displaying to the court and informing the court of that personal observation.
Testified to incidents of crime, but on what do we base his knowledge that this reflects an increase of crime?
Mr. Bauer will, if given the opportunity, Your Honor, Mr. Bauer will give further testimony to answer that question.
And I'll sustain the objection at this point, and then if you can bring out enough testimony to support his saying that.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Bauer, what, if any, incidents involving crime have you noticed around your business?
Well, just in the past year, a man was arrested for assault and disorderly conduct.
Objection, Your Honor. This is a lack of personal knowledge. How do you know what the man was arrested for? He has not laid a foundation of anything.
May I respond, Your Honor? Mr. Bauer had witnessed the arrest personally and his personal knowledge of the event that occurred and therefore is able to testify to it.
Objections overruled.
In addition, now we've got Dopey, the local drug dealer, and Tony Montana hanging around a lot more, and we don't want this...
Objection, Your Honor. This is an invention of fact. Tony Montana does not appear in the witness deposition at all.
May I respond, Your Honor? Mr. Bauer is just attempting to draw a correlation to a well-known drug trafficker, that's all.
Going to sustain the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Please continue.
Well, I mean, in addition to Dopey hanging around a lot more, I saw a group of teenagers, for no reason at all one night, surround a homeless person and verbally and physically abuse them. All these crimes, as I said earlier, are centered around the homeless people and their presence at the church. I know that the homeless people don't want to hurt the city, but their presence at the church is indeed hurting the reputation of the church's immediate area, and as a result, it's hurting my business.
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
In what respect?
And he is trying to directly correlate the existence of the homeless with the reputation of the area, and he's trying to speak for the entire area when he can only speak for himself.
Your response?
Your Honor, in the general reputation, in the case of Pizza v. Carter, it established that the general reputation of a specific location and its surrounding area is admissible as evidence to prove the existence of a public nuisance. Mr. Bauer, Your Honor's business is right across the street from the People's Church and can testify to his personal knowledge of incidents that have created a poor reputation for this area.
May I respond, Your Honor? Then can I ask that his testimony be limited to his personal knowledge and not the assumption of anyone else's around?
I think that's an appropriate limitation, don't you, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor, that's fine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. So, Mr. Bauer, are there any other aid organizations in the city who help the needy?
Well, yes, there's a local soup kitchen, and very frequently I donate my leftover bread and pastries there. Almost every night I do nowadays. I mean, there are other ways to help the homeless people than just Pastor Pease's program.
Have you ever personally met Pastor Pease?
I've had conversations with him.
And what did those consist of?
Well, I personally expressed to the pastor that I was concerned about the homeless people. They're outside, and they're soliciting my customers, and they're subject to these violent criminals. I mean, nobody wants to see that happen to these homeless people. I personally suggested to the pastor that he move them inside for their own benefit. But to this day, the pastor has done nothing at all to address my concerns.
Mr. Bauer, as a longtime citizen of Urbanopolis and an officer on the Chamber of Commerce, how, if in any way, do the homeless interfere with your business?
Well, the homeless certainly have negatively affected my business.
Objection, Your Honor. This calls for speculation.
May I respond, Your Honor? Mr. Bauer, Your Honor, his business is right across the street from the People's Church. He can testify to the immediate area and the poor reputation that has begun to formulate for that area. And Mr. Bauer is giving his personal testimony as a businessman and a qualified member on the Chamber of Commerce about how the homeless affect his personal business.
How does he know that his business that he's losing business because of the homeless and not for some other reason?
Your Honor, Mr. Bauer can clearly make a statement concerning the factors that do affect his business positively or negatively. And considering the fact that he has owned this business for almost 35 years, he knows enough about the trade, I believe, in order to make a reasonable extrapolation on such a fact.
If you lay that foundation, I'll allow the testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Bauer, how long have you lived in the city of Urbanopolis?
Well, I've lived in this great city for 35 years.
And can you please tell us how recently has your business been going?
Well, business has been...
Your Honor, this has been asked and answered at the beginning.
She's trying to lay the foundation that I suggested, so...
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Well, business had been good up until this past year.
And so you are a member on the Chamber of Commerce, correct?
That is
correct.
correct.
Your Honor, leading.
It is leading, but we'll let it go this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Mr. Bauer, as a longtime citizen and a qualified member on the Chamber of Commerce and a personal business owner, do the homeless interfere with your business?
Well, yes. I mean, in the time that I've lived in this city, I've seen something very sad happen to this place. The reputation of the city over time has declined, and I've noticed a definite change in the climate of the city, particularly in my business sector of town. And as a result, that's why I believe that because of the poor reputation of the city in this area, that my sales have decreased.
Thank you. I have no further questions at this time, Your Honors.
Thank you. Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Bauer, you were in court today, correct?
That is correct.
And you did observe Pastor Peace's testimony?
Well, yes.
And you do realize that she is a girl?
Yes.
Okay. Well, from now on, I'd ask you to continue to refer to her as
Oh, my apologies.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Now, Mr. Bauer, you state that business has been steadily increasing over the past few years, correct?
Until this past year, I had.
And there have been several additions of upscale shops and galleries, correct?
Well, yes, and this was great because, you know, the foot traffic had increased and more people were coming to our city.
And there's also been new restaurants, correct?
Well, yes. You know,
and the addition of a new coffee shop?
well, in particular, if I could say...
Mr. Bauer, has there been an addition?
I request that the counselor allow my witness to finish his answer.
We need to have one person talking at a time. If you're unhappy with the length of his answers, we can address that, but you need to let him finish.
Well, yes, I have noticed that there is a local coffee shop that has been added, and, you know, I can thank him because, I mean, as you know, competition, it breeds business.
Yet your sales have decreased 10% so far this year. Is that also right?
Well, I don't attribute it to any of the new coffee shops.
Your sales have decreased 10% in just this year. Is that right?
That's correct.
And yet you believe it's just the homeless who have contributed to this decrease?
I believe so.
You also added a patio to your shop, yes?
Well, yes, because I figured, you know, with all these people coming, it's something that I could do to attract customers to come to my location.
And you have not recouped these costs yet, have you?
No, it's because I have experienced a decrease in sales.
Yeah, and you are even considering putting in cameras or hiring security guards, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yet you fear the cost of such equipment, don't you?
Yes.
You also state that the most annoying disturbance the homeless create is the loud, and I quote, boisterous singing that comes from the steps of the People's Church in the morning.
Well, it's the loud noise, yes. I mean, but anybody who hears loud noise is annoyed. I hear loud rap music and I'm annoyed.
But you state that this is the most annoying disturbance, is that correct?
Yes, the loud noise.
And you say that the pastor comes out and preaches, is that also correct?
I have nothing against him preaching. It's the loud noise, though.
I asked you, does the pastor come out and preach?
Yes, he does.
Okay, and then there is organ music also being played, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you say these are very noisy meetings, is that also correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you say that last month that a couple asked to be moved inside because they saw someone defecate in the bushes?
Yes. I mean, there's been numerous...
Yes or no? Did you ever see this specific event?
Well, no, but I saw the aftermath of it.
And you also... excuse me. Oh, sorry. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Let the record reflect I am showing opposing counsel what has been previously stipulated as Exhibit B, an unmarked copy. Do you recognize this?
Yes, it's a map of our great city of Urbanopolis.
Thank you. Now, this year you added a patio to your shop, right?
That is correct.
And could you please point this out to the court?
It's item C1 right attached to my coffee shop. C.
And there's a sidewalk in front of the patio and one across the street as well, is that correct?
I don't see any sidewalk.
But you know your own store.
Oh, yeah. Well, sure.
Okay, thank you. And could you please point to where these would be? I know they may not be on the map, but...
Well, item connecting to the street, I suppose. I mean...
So they'd be parallel to the street?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And on the map, there's a wall in front of the steps of the church. Is that correct?
Oh, yes.
And could you please point the steps and the wall out to the court, please?
Well, here's the steps and here's the wall.
Thank you. And you say that in the morning, people come and volunteer to pick up trash around the church steps and breezeway. Is that correct?
After my business is already in session, yes.
But the volunteers do come every day to clean up the church's property?
Yes.
Okay. And you say that no one wants to eat looking at leftover cigarette butts. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And all of these are left on the steps, lawn, and breezeway of the church, correct?
That is correct.
And you say your coffee shop, the booming pastry business, is in the early morning, correct?
Well, yes.
So it'd be reasonable to say it's pretty dark out, right?
In the morning?
Objection, Your Honor. Cause for speculation.
Your Honor, he is the owner of the coffee shop, and he is clearly there every morning, as he has given testimony to previously, so he would know whether or not it is dark at night, in the morning.
Your Honor? The seasons change, Your Honor, and so do the time frames. And at specific times, it could be dark at 6 o'clock in the morning, or it could be dark at 8 o'clock in the morning, depending on which season is. And this, in any of these case materials, it makes no reference to a specific time frame.
This is cross-examination. I'm going to overrule the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. So it's reasonable to say that it's dark at 6 a.m.
Well, not in the summertime.
Right, but most times of the year, and in this time of year particularly, when the raid was taking place, it's been dark.
Well, yes.
Okay. And these steps, lawn, and breezeway that the trash are located on are across the street from the coffee shop, right?
That is correct.
And the coffee shop sidewalk?
Yes.
And the sidewalk on the other side of the road?
I'm sorry?
And the sidewalk on the other side of the road as well?
Trash?
Across?
Yeah.
And the two-way road in between?
Yes.
Okay. Since the homeless are no longer on church property, you've had no more problems with the church, have you?
Well, all these disturbances that I have experienced have been involved with the homeless people, and I feel...
But since they're no longer there, you've had no more problems?
Well, not
Is that reasonable to say?
Well, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you.
May I retrieve my evidence? Or?
There you go, sir.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly. Mr. Bauer, does darkness affect your ability to see trash?
No.
Thank you. And what changes, if any, have you seen in the
crime and disturbance? And as a result, the area, the reputation of the immediate area around the church has declined, and that's why I've seen a decrease in my business.
Mr. Bauer, how, if in any way, have these new shops and galleries affected your business?
Well, if anything, they should be responsible for helping me. I mean, as everybody knows, the more people the more businesses you have, the more people that are going to come, and, the more business you're going to see for yourself as well as all these other places.
Mr. Bauer, why do you attribute the decrease in sales to the church and the homeless citizens?
Well, I hadn't experienced a decrease in sales until this past year, in spite of the fact that the homeless people had been there for 3 years. But like I said, I mean, it takes time for the reputation of a place to change. As time has passed, this bad reputation has developed, and that's why my sales have only recently decreased.
Thank you, Your Honors. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Recross?
Yes, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Bauer, you never saw any of the incidences that you mentioned in your direct examination, did you? Firsthand.
No, I did. I saw the group of teenagers surround and verbally and physically abuse the homeless people. I saw a panhandling homeless person come onto my property and disturb my customers. Homeless person who was pouring the liquid into my flower pots and kill my flowers.
And you did sign a sworn affidavit before giving.
That's correct.
Did you? And you did not lie in your deposition, did you?
I did not.
So when I read this to you, on lines 395, it says, why, just last Wednesday night, I had to scurry a homeless person away from the patio because a customer said the man was panhandling. Do you agree that I read this correct?
Could you please read 2 lines down?
He was asking for money to buy a sandwich?
Wait, let me see. If you don't mind. He was asking... okay. And in addition... Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, and of course I saw the customer called me over. The customer told me that the homeless person reeked of a stench, and so he called me over.
So the customer told you...
area around your business.
Well, as I said, I mean, since the church's outreach program has allowed the homeless people to stay on their property overnight, I've noticed, numerous instances of...
That the man was panhandling, but you never witnessed the man panhandling, did you?
Well, if I may explain, would you...
I mean, is that not what you said in your statement?
Yes, but
so are you lying now or in your statement?
No, I'm not...
Your Honor, the counselor is intimidating my witness and is being hostile.
Would you like me to move back to my podium?
That would be...
Okay.
Thank you. But, well, you see, what happened was a homeless person came onto my property, and he was begging for money.
You do not know this for a fact, though. You are taking this completely off...
It says he was asking for money to buy a sandwich.
Objection. Can the counselor please allow my witness to finish his answer?
He is basing this all off of hearsay.
Your Honor, if Mr. Bauer is given a chance to explain, he will show the court that all of this is not based off of hearsay.
Right, let's let the witness see if he can explain that it's from personal knowledge. If it is not, we'll strike it.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, you see what happened, Your Honors, was the homeless person came onto the property and he was asking for a sandwich. He did not leave until after I had given him the sandwich, and only then did he leave my property and go across to his dwelling place at the People's Church. In my mind, that is panhandling.
Your Honor, this is completely based off of hearsay because in his actual witness statement, it says nothing about him communicating with the homeless in any way except for giving him a sandwich after he was told by a customer that she was being panhandled.
May I respond, Your Honor? In the deposition, it also clearly states that Mr. Bauer was called over and personally handed the homeless citizen a sandwich. This clearly shows Mr. Bauer was not only present at the incident, but he also watched the homeless citizen go across the street and sit down on the church's steps.
I'm going to strike the portion of the testimony that indicates that he saw the person panhandling, but I will allow the rest of the testimony that indicates that he gave a sandwich.
Sit down on the church's steps.
I'm going to strike the portion of the testimony that indicates that he saw the person panhandling, but I will allow the rest of the testimony that indicates that he gave a sandwich to this person.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Mr. Bauer, can you personally speak for the 3 other businesses around the People's Church until just recently. Is this correct?
That is right, because as I
So
said...
just recently, when all the upscale shops and the new coffee shop are being added, sales have gone down. Is that correct?
Well, yes, but
okay,
that's because...
thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you.
May I be seated, Your Honor?
You may step down.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bauer. And the defense has another witness.
At this time, the defense would like to call Dale Dobbins to the stand.
Dale Dobbins, you may take the witness stand.
As to their growth or decline in business sales?
No, I cannot.
Okay. And so for the 3 years that the homeless have been congregating on the church's grounds, your sales have been going up until just recently. Is this correct?
That is right, because as I
So
said...
just recently, when all the upscale shops and the new coffee shop are being added, sales have gone down. Is that correct?
Well, yes, but
okay,
that's because...
thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you.
May I be seated, Your Honor?
You may step down.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bauer. And the defense has another witness.
At this time, the defense would like to call Dale Dobbins to the stand.
Dale Dobbins, you may take the witness stand.
Could you please state your name for the record?
My name is Dale Dobbins.
What is your occupation?
I'm the Chief Public Health Officer for the City of Urbanopolis.
What is your educational background?
Well, I grew up and attended high school in Urbanopolis, after which I attended State College, earning dual degrees in biology and chemistry and graduating magna cum laude. After my time at State College, I continued on to graduate school in New York City.
What do these graduate studies consist of?
Well, while I was in New York City, I developed an interest in public health, particularly issues relating to the spread of disease and overcrowding. My coursework focused on these issues, as did the internship I did with the New York City Public Health Department. I worked with the homeless populations of New York City during this internship and got firsthand experience.
And what is your professional background?
Well, after I completed this internship, I returned to Urbanopolis, where I took my current position as the Chief Public Health Officer. I've held that position for the past 20 years, and to stay at the forefront of the public health field, I've supplemented my education with additional courses at State College, as well as authoring articles in several journals and being a keynote speaker at conferences on the issues of overcrowding and the spread of disease.
Your Honors, at this time, the defense requests that this witness be recognized as an expert in the field of public health.
I have no objection to this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honors. Now, Ms. Dobbins, how long have you been in Urbanopolis?
Well, in addition to growing up and attending high school there, I've been there for the past 20 years.
And what, if any, changes in population have you observed?
Well, 20 years ago, it was much as I had grown up. Urbanopolis was a moderate-sized community with families that had been there for generations. In the past 10 years, however, we've seen fantastic population growth. And with this population growth, an influx of new families without roots here. Naturally, with this influx of new families, we've also seen an increase in the homeless population, which has become directly of my concern as the public health officer.
Has this increase in the homeless population changed the focus of the public health department at all?
It has. Because we have an increased number of people who are dependent on city services, we've had to try to allocate our limited resources as best we can to support them. In addition to this, we've had to pay attention to the possible risk of spread of disease and try to control these risks, and also keep waste management up to spec.
Now, are you familiar with the People's Church in Urbanopolis?
Yes, I've been there on multiple occasions.
And what, if anything, have you observed there?
Well, the most striking thing when I first went there was the large number of homeless people who congregate on the grounds. And what concerned me about this was that there are too many people on the grounds of the church for the number of bathroom facilities they provide. And when a bathroom facility is overused, it can cause a strain not only in that location, but on the sewage system in the entire area and cause backups nearby.
Have these sewage backups ever happened before?
Yes, we've seen backups in nearby businesses. Just to give you an idea of what's nearby, there's a coffee shop and a clinic.
Objection, Your Honor. This is invention of facts. Nowhere does it say that before the People's Church started housing the homeless, there have been previous backups, or before the one backup that she discusses in her deposition.
Your Honors, in the witness's deposition, it explicitly states that there have been backups in the area. I could direct you to the line if you would like.
Would you please?
Lines 315 to 317, the situation has occurred on numerous occasions at the church. Their excessive overuse of their own bathroom facilities has created stress on the overall sewage system in that area, resulting in backups in local businesses.
I was just merely objecting to the fact that she said before the People's Church started housing homeless that there were these sewage problems.
That's what I understood the objection to be, that she testified that before the homeless began to stay at the church, that they had experienced other backups in the city. If that was not what she was testifying to, we may need clarification here, but I will sustain the objection to that extent.
Ms. Dobbins, could you clarify, when were the backups that you described?
Oh, I'm sorry for any confusion. I was talking about since I visited the church and since I've known of the church, we have seen an overuse of the bathrooms at the church with the homeless people staying there, and then concurrently backups in the area.
Now, are there any aspects of the church's property that would contribute to a public health risk?
Yes. Well, when the homeless people do not use the bathrooms inside the church, they have a tendency to use them to relieve themselves outside the church.
Objection, Your Honor. This is an invention of facts. Nor does it say in Ms. Dobbins' deposition that she has seen or heard of people defecating outside.
Your Honors, may I respond? The witness has described in her deposition, to quote lines 322 and onward, and if the homeless are not using the bathroom facilities of the church, they are eliminating their personal waste on the ground around the church. Your Honors, the witness has testified that she has personally been to the church on several occasions to observe the property. This fact is also corroborated in the errata sheet, which is by definition also admissible by mock trial rules. These descriptions she are making are simply based on her own personal observations.
Your Honor, if she has not personally observed these and said so in her deposition, then it would be speculation as what they do in their spare time.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yes.
The witness has stated in her deposition that the homeless in the city do eliminate their personal waste on the ground in the church. The specific wording of the rule in the errata sheet stated it was designed specifically to address this question. Has Ms. Dobbins been to the church? The errata sheet states that Ms. Dobbins has in fact been to the church on occasions and that this matter in fact is not of material evidence to the trial and she can make observations based on this fact.
And which part of the errata sheet are you referring to?
Number 9.
Which one?
Number 9.
Number 9. I'm going to overrule the objection.
Thank you, Anna.
May I continue?
Please continue.
Oh, well, individual incidences of someone urinating or defecating on the ground are not an issue. The problem we have here is that we have so many people crowded into such a small area that we can that it can cause a sort of critical mass of waste, which can consequently get into the groundwater and then into the water supply, and this is a great danger that we're trying to take care of.
Are there any other types of waste on the property?
Yes, we've seen trash and food waste on the property, and concurrently a documented increase in the number of flies, maggots, and mosquitoes in the area, all of which can carry disease.
Now, has the Public Health Department made any contact with the People's Church?
Yes. In my official context as...
Your Honor, she is not the Public Health Department, and this is an invention of fact. She is not the Public Health Department. She did not, and nowhere in her statement has it said on behalf of the Public Health Department did she issue a citation. She merely talked to the pastor in her deposition.
May I respond, Your Honor? I'm not asking the witness to comment on citations or any such action. I'm simply stating if she, as the Chief Public Health Officer of the City of Urbanopolis, employed by the city, has ever talked or made any type of contact whatsoever with the People's Church.
Phrase your question that way, and I'll let her answer it. And the objection is sustained to that extent.
Thank you.
Now, Ms. Dobbins, as the Chief Public Health Officer employed by the City of Urbanopolis, have you ever had any contact with the People's Church?
Yes. I, the Chief Public Health Officer for the City of Urbanopolis, have gone to Pastor Pease to discuss with her my concerns over the health risks on her property and the housing code violations vis-a-vis the overuse of the bathrooms. However, after speaking with Pastor Pease, no changes were made. So I took my complaints to the church council. And again, I feel that my complaints fell on deaf ears and no changes have been made since I made these multiple verbal warnings.
Your Honor, at this time I would like to refer to Exhibit A, the City of Urbanopolis Ordinance. Let the record reflect that I'm showing opposing counsel unmarked copy.
Permission to approach the witness, Your Honor. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
What is it?
It is the City of Urbanopolis Ordinance Section 2.1.8, which describes the definition of a public nuisance.
Is that an accurate representation of the ordinance?
Yes, it's a copy of the ordinance.
Now, Ms. Dobbins, do you, based on your experience as the Chief Public Health Officer, as an expert in the field of public health, do you have an opinion which you can state to a reasonable degree of certainty about the ways in which the sleeping situation of the homeless and the program of the church fall under this ordinance?
I do.
What is that opinion?
Well, if we compare directly to the ordinance, a public nuisance shall include but is not limited to an act or failure to act. I have spoken with Pastor Pease about the issues, and she has failed to act to abate them. That injuriously affects the safety, health, from my experience as a public health officer, having excess trash and an increase in bugs, having sewage backups exposing local people to raw fecal material, having human waste on the property are all dangers to the public safety and health, or morals of the public, and having a building that is trying to be outside of the jurisdiction of the health department, I would think would injure the morals of the public, or work some substantial annoyance, inconvenience, or injury to the public. And in my professional opinion, I believe that this works a grave injury to the public.
Now, as the Chief Public Health Officer and an officer of the city, why did you choose to contact the People's Church in the manner in which you did?
Well, the health department appreciates what Pastor Pease wants to do for the homeless and help them. However,
Your Honor, this is speculation. She cannot know what the entire health department thinks or the lack of knowledge of this situation, and this is nowhere in her statement. May I respond, Your Honor? Ms. Dobbins has been established that she is the Chief Public Health Officer of the City of Urbanopolis, a position which she has held for 20 years. As the Chief Public Health Officer, it is part of her duty, as it would be for the Chief Public Health Officer in any city, to oversee the duties of the Public Health Department. As such, and as a representative of the Public Health Department, I feel she can adequately testify as such.
Objections overruled.
Please continue, Ms. Dobbins.
well, as I said, I and we, the Public Health Department, do appreciate what Pastor Pease is trying to do. However, we feel that in doing so, she has inadvertently caused much more harm than good. And we would like to see her do better, but she must comply with the housing codes and health codes that apply to all the buildings in the city. We cannot just we cannot let these health risks continue, even if we appreciate the effort. And if she would perhaps open a licensed homeless shelter, or at least just comply with the health codes, we would be in full support. However, we cannot let this risk continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Ms. Dobbins, Urbanopolis has experienced amazing growth. Is that right?
Yes, in the past 10 years.
And such growth is generally a good thing, correct?
Yes.
As long as it helps the city, right?
Yes, and as long as we can keep up and support it.
However, you believe that one of the unfortunate side effects to overcrowding is the increase in homelessness, yes?
Oh, no, rather, the side effects of the influx of new families without roots there causes an increase in the number of homeless people, which, sadly, it's unfortunate that so many people are homeless.
So the increase in homelessness is unfortunate?
Yes.
And in your statement, you say that growth is a good thing as long as city services can keep up with it, right?
Yes, and we're doing the best we can.
And you work for the city, is that correct?
I do.
And your paycheck comes from the city, right?
Well, yes, I'm a civil servant.
You believe that the homeless people do not have resources for waste disposal, right?
Well, in general, when they don't have access to bathroom facilities, they don't have access to places to dispose of their bodily waste.
So they don't?
Well, in general, no.
And you believe that the facilities the church provides are not adequate to provide for the homeless, right?
Being that they have backed up and caused a strain on the sewage system in the area, I would say that no, they're not sufficient.
And yet there are no current homeless shelters in Urbanopolis, correct?
We do what we can, but we can't do everything, and no, we don't have one yet.
So over the past 10 years, the city's been growing, you've not implemented a homeless shelter?
Again, we're not unlimited in our resources, and at this point, we do not have a homeless shelter.
Your Honors, may I approach the witness? Would the record reflect that I'm showing opposing counsel an unmarked copy of Exhibit B? You recognize this?
Yes.
What is it?
It is a map of the People's Church and the surrounding area in Urbanopolis.
Could you please take it? Thank you. Could you please identify and point out Part C?
Part C is the Viennese coffee shop across the street from the People's Church.
And Part D?
Part D is the doctor's office across the street from the People's Church.
And Part E?
Part E is the real estate agency across the street from the People's Church.
So all of these are across the street from the People's Church?
Yes.
And there has been an excessive overuse of bathroom facilities in the area, right?
Well, there's been an excessive use of bathroom facilities at the People's Church.
Which has created stress on the sewage system in the area?
Yes.
And customers frequent the businesses you mentioned that were Part C, D, and E, right?
Yes, but they are in compliance with the housing codes and the church is not.
And the local businesses mentioned earlier have bathroom facilities, do they not?
Yes, but they serve the number of people that go through.
You have previously stated that Urbanopolis has experienced growth over the past 10 years, right?
Yes.
And with increased growth comes increased foot traffic around the city, right?
Yes, and I feel most of the places in town have been able to keep up.
Thank you. And that means there's an increase in business around the city, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So there's an increase in usage of the businesses and the facilities which the businesses have, right?
Yes, and I feel these businesses have provided very well.
And Ms. Dobbins, you're not a licensed plumber, are you?
No, but I do deal in public health, which has to do with sanitation and housing codes.
But you're not a licensed plumber by the state of Ohio.
And for one, it is asked and answered, and also, once a witness has been established as an expert, in this case the field of public health, which relates to sewage and backups and nothing beyond the scope of which she's testified, these same qualifications cannot be challenged by an attorney in cross-examination as stated by the mock trial rules.
Your Honors, I'm not trying to challenge the qualifications of Ms. Dobbins' public health experience. I'm merely trying to ask if she is or is not a plumber.
I'm going to overrule the objection, and I don't know that she's actually yet answered the question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Dobbins, you are not a licensed plumber by the state of Ohio, correct?
No, I can't fix the sink.
You also mentioned in your statement that a very serious danger is that of untreated urine somehow seeping into and permeating the city's drinking water supply, right?
Yes, it happens this way. If the groundwater goes to our water treatment plants, however, if bacteria or viruses that we're not aware of get into the water treatment, we'd have to adjust how we're treating the water. And it is better to eliminate the risk of these things happening than try to keep up with everything that we may not know and possibly risk people's lives while we're trying to keep up.
Ms. Dobbins, does the city employ a modern water system?
Yes, and I just explained why it's a problem.
But it's a modern water system, right?
Yes.
The modern water system is a problem?
No. I'm explaining why having excess urine concentrated in one place on the ground in the city can pose a very serious threat.
Ms. Dobbins, you know that the city has a modern water system, and as you know, modern water systems are pressurized water systems, right?
Yes, I believe I...
And I'm sure you mentioned the problems with sewage and waste and bugs. I'm sure you've documented all of these, correct?
Yes.
And I'm sure you did extensive research to make sure you were right, and you went to these places and documented the research, right?
Yes, we did.
And you based part of your expert opinion on the research that you did and these documents, right?
Yes.
And you also believe that the sleeping situation with the homeless is unsafe, correct?
Yes, they sleep out of doors, exposed to the elements, and in very close quarters.
You also based part of your expert opinion on reams of research that documents problems with the homeless, right?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't understand.
You based part of your opinion on research, reams of research that documents problems with the homeless people, and that problems they can cause.
Well, yes, based it on known knowledge from a public health standpoint about the homeless people.
You've also based it on research you've read, right?
Yes.
Your Honors, at this time I would like to move to strike the expert witness testimony that has been based on these documents. According to Rule 703, basis of opinion testimony by experts, the facts or data in a particular case upon which the experts base an opinion or inference may be perceived by him or her or admitted into evidence at the hearing. Nowhere here today were the documents this witness based her expert opinion testimony brought forth as evidence, and her testimony is therefore illegal according to the Ohio mock trial rules.
Although the counselor has read the rule accurately, the rule simply states that a witness may base their testimony on that which they perceive in the courtroom or what is entered into evidence. However, the mock trial rules do not prohibit a witness from testifying based on their own personal first-hand knowledge, and Ms. Dobbins has testified that she has based her evidence off of research which she is familiar with personally. Counselor did ask the witness if she was familiar with the research personally, and as such it is a personal observation which Ms. Dobbins, as an expert in public health and as any layperson, could testify to.
Your Honor, may I respond? The rule states that I'm not objecting to anything that Ms. Dobbins personally saw at the church or had firsthand experience with. The rule does state, though, that she must base her expert opinion on those things and on her knowledge of what's going on. She cannot base her knowledge on documents that are not submitted into evidence at court today.
It seems that the distinction that the two of you are drawing is you're saying that the documents contain her personal research, and you're saying the documents are not necessarily her personal research.
Well, Your Honor, may I respond?
May I clarify my objection, or my response, Your Honor? The Public Health Department conducts research. As the Chief Public Health Officer, this research that the Public Health Department conducts is available for future use and study, and in fact, such research that is conducted by the Public Health Department to do its job of upholding the public health and safety is clearly something that the Chief Public Health Officer of the City of Urbanopolis would have access to, as there is no specific reference within the materials of the case as to whether or not what the source of the resource is, and as the cross-examining counselor has brought up this issue, it is fair extrapolation for the witness to respond, as long as it does not conflict directly with anything in the case materials.
Your Honor, may I respond? There are two issues which I'm objecting to. The first is the documents that she herself provided about the sewage, the water, and the bugs. The second is the research that she did not herself create, that she said she based her testimony on about the homeless sleeping situation and how that has influenced her opinion. The first I moved to strike because it is not submitted into evidence at hearing. The personal...
Sorry, what was not submitted into evidence in the hearing?
The documents which she made. Since these documents were not submitted into hearing, while she did evidence into this hearing, while she may have seen some of those, which I'm not objecting to, she cannot base the evidence on these documents which are not in court. The second, she cannot base any evidence on because these documents were never submitted into court and were never perceived by her.
But what about the evidence that's been admitted at trial here?
Like what she's seen?
What the facts and testimony that she has given and the facts that have been provided by other witnesses.
The facts that were provided by other witnesses, very few of them are in her statement. The evidence that she has given today at testimony was never previously stipulated to have been in documents, which she has just said that they were documented, which I'm bringing up right now.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yes.
The witness was given a sworn oath by the bailiff in this court to testify to anything that is admissible. She's supposed to speak truly. She has agreed to do as such, and as such, her testimony is evidence in today's proceedings. Furthermore, the research that the witness is talking about is simply saying that there's a documented increase in flies. She is not referencing any particular specific set of documents, and as such, as there are no specific set of documents, she is simply talking about personal research of the Public Health Department, of which she is the chief. We cannot be asked to provide such documents which are not given by the case material.
Your Honor, may I respond briefly?
Yes, this will be the last comment on this one.
I asked her if she based her opinion on these documents. I'm not asking her to provide documents. I'm just simply asking her that she based these opinions on documents which she created and did not create. And she cannot testify to documents which are not submitted into court as stated by Rule 703. I'm not objecting to her personal knowledge of anything she saw at the church.
I have to commend counsel on your arguments on this particular issue. I'm going to let the opinion in, but it was well argued on both sides. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Dobbins, there are studies which you did conduct and studied from, as you just testified, as having based your opinion on today, and none of them are in court, are they?
Oh, I completely misunderstood what you asked.
All the documents you submitted are in court.
I thought you were talking about, well-known research about the homeless population, things like they don't have a place to sleep, and they don't have bathroom facilities of easy access. Normal research like that I would learn about in my internship at the Public Health Department. I was talking about things I learned in university. I wasn't aware you were talking about specific documents. I was talking about my education.
So you did not read reams of research that document homeless people and the incidences they have?
Well, of course I have, but it's a part of my schooling and my professional training.
So you did not read this research at all to help you?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered. The witness has stated that she did read the research.
I'm going to let the question stand.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So you did you or did you not use this research to help you?
I mean, yes, it helped me through my graduate studies. It's helped me function as a public health officer.
Ms. Dobbins, you just testified as saying that the research which you read and the research which you conducted, you have based your opinion on that.
Well, I'm completely misunderstood your question.
So you change it now?
Now that I understand your question, may I re-answer your question now that I understand what you were saying?
I believe you just did. But
I believe I didn't.
Objection, Your Honor. I asked that my witness be allowed to answer the question.
I think she answered the question. I mean, I don't think there's anything further in response to this particular question. You may ask the next one.
Thank you. So none of the research you conducted on the documents of flies or mosquitoes or sewage, which you said you just did document, none of those are in court today.
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Your Honor, she was referring to the homeless documents, not the ones she just conducted.
We have some confusion here about what documents we've been talking about.
I apologize.
I'm going to let you ask the question so that she can answer it and we can clarify this once and for all.
You stated that you documented research with flies, mosquitoes, maggots, whatever, bugs, the sewage and the waste. You just testified to that. And none of those documents which you just testified to are in court today, are they?
I've been personally involved in investigations of these, so I've witnessed these things. And in addition to witnessing these things, naturally I documented them, but I have not submitted all of the Public Health Department's records into evidence, no.
You haven't submitted any of the public health records into evidence today, have you?
I personally witnessed these things, and I don't know if that counts for anything, but...
Objection, Your Honor. I move to strike the witness as non-responsive. She is not answering my yes or no question as to whether the documents are in court today.
Answer the question.
No, I have not submitted these documents.
Thank you, Your Honors. No further questions for the witness.
Thank you. Redirect.
Ms. Dobbins, based on your personal observations, what, if any, aspects of the sleeping situation of the homeless constitute a public nuisance?
Well, based on what I have seen and what I have learned in my position as the Public Health Department about the situation at the church, the sleeping situation for the homeless is very unsafe. They sleep out of doors, exposed to elements, and they sleep in close quarters, posing a great risk for the spread and exposure to disease. Were one of them to have a disease, it would spread very easily to the people sleeping right there with them.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you. Recross? All right. Thank you. We'll now give counsel a bit of time for preparation for your closing statements. I believe you got 2 minutes for that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
May I step down?
Thank you.
May I step down?
Yes, I'm sorry, you may.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
We're coming to you from the 2008 mock trial championship between the Centerville High School in Montgomery County and the Lake Ridge Academy out of Lorain County. While we're waiting for our teams to prepare their closing arguments, allow me to introduce our panel of legal professionals who will be officially deciding this case. Today's presiding judge is Judge Peggy Bryant of the Franklin County Court of Appeals. Our scoring judges are Rob Ware, president of the Ohio State Bar Association. Mr. Ware is also a partner in the Cleveland law firm of Thompson Hine LLP. Gary Daniels is the associate director for the American Civil Liberties Union of Ohio, where he observes the regional office in Columbus. Mr. Daniels is a graduate of Kent State University, where he earned a BA in political science. He currently serves on the board of the Ohio Center for Law-Related Education. Judge Mike Fain of the 2nd District Court of Appeals. He received his BA from Yale College in 1968 and his JD from the University of Pennsylvania Law School in 1972. Joining them is Jeffrey Ginsburg, a Holmes County magistrate, and Jerry McBride of the Claremont County Common Pleas Court. You are watching us on the Ohio Channel. If you would like to see this court case again, you can go to ohiochannel.org, click on Supreme Court, and you can see it stream. We're going to be joining the floor while the closing arguments are being made.
Your Honor, 2 minutes is up.
May it please the court. Over 50 years ago, Eleanor Roosevelt urged that at all times, day by day, we have to continue fighting for the freedom of religion, for this is something that must be gained in peace as well as in war. The sanctuary which our nation has provided its citizens with since the founding of our country, the freedom of religion, is being stripped away today by the city of Urbanopolis. This court should grant the People's Church injunctive relief as we have met our burden of proof by establishing that first, the city's raids have impermissibly placed a substantial burden on the church's free exercise of religion. Second, the church has not violated any law. And finally, the nuisance laws have not been applied in a religiously neutral way. First, the city's actions have placed a substantial burden on the church's religious practices. The First Amendment mandates that Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Any governmental action that substantially burdens the exercise of religion must meet the demands of the strictest judicial scrutiny. In other words, the law must be narrowly tailored to serve a compelling governmental interest. However, the city's actions target only religious practices. The religious practices of the People's Church. In the Supreme Court case of Lukumi Babalu versus Hialeah, the court held that because the secular ends in defense of the laws were pursued with conduct only motivated by religious belief, that the city could not enforce its laws to encroach upon the church. The city seeks to completely exclude the homeless from the safe haven of the church, forcibly drag them from church grounds, and either arrest them or force them upon the city's streets. Sam Bauer testified today that he has had no more problems with the homeless because they are no longer on church property. Pastor Pease, while still able to administer in a limited, non-religious scope to the homeless, cannot fulfill her and the church's religious mission of the People's Church to aid the homeless. There are much more reasonable alternatives which the city appears unwilling to enforce. Second, the church has not violated any law, neutral or otherwise. According to the Ohio Common Pleas case Pizza versus Carter, the court held that any allegation of a public nuisance must be established by clear and convincing evidence. Nuisance cannot be a label the city attaches to any act it finds just distasteful. According to Pastor Pease, in the past 3 years she's been running her program and previously, there have been no prior notices of nuisances and never a single violation of a city health code. The city cannot identify any evidence that the church is endangering anyone's health or public safety. Dale Dobbins claims there are problems with the backups of the surrounding area, but she cannot conclusively say that it is the church or the surrounding area, due to the increased growth over the past 10 years, that it is the church alone. There are businesses with restrooms all over the place. The untreated urine somehow seeping into a pressurized water system seems very unlikely, meaning the urine on the outside would have to be greater than the pressure of the water on the inside to seep in. Sam Bauer claims the homeless litter and panhandle occasionally, but he never saw the panhandling or littering actually take place. Dale Dobbins' unsupported, undocumented evidence, which should be submitted to the court, cannot be defined as clear and convincing evidence to be a nuisance. Third, even if the city could identify a public nuisance on the church's private property, the city must have applied the nuisance laws in a non-discriminatory and consistent way in order to avoid strict scrutiny. The city has not. The city can express no reason as to why the conduct taking place on the church's private property should be targeted while similar conduct occurring on a daily basis is not. The city is discriminately enforcing this ordinance. According to Pastor Pease, the city is not arresting people congregating or sleeping on library steps, park benches, or on the homes of private residences. The city is targeting and threatening the church, targeting only religious practices, as the church is the only entity who provides shelter for the homeless. Thus, the city's policy derives from unwarrantable, discriminatory treatment for the church's religious mission. Your Honors, we have met our burden of proof. The city has interfered with the church's fundamental constitutional rights, desecrating their religious mission to aid the homeless. The church raises its voice for the people who have done. As Americans, we should take in the tired, poor, and huddled masses. The church respectfully requests that the court grant the church injunctive relief and allow the homeless to live in the only place they can currently call home. Thank you.
Thank you. Defendant's closing.
May it please the court. Your Honors, every city has a duty to uphold the public health and safety, and the city of Urbanopolis takes this duty very seriously. Though the People's Church have issued an injunction against the city's actions, the city was merely acting to enforce a neutral public nuisance law within the bounds of the First Amendment. And to that effect, we, the defense, Your Honor, have proven three things. 1, the existence of a nuisance. 2, the narrowly tailored and compelling nature of the city government's interests. And 3, the neutrality and general applicability of the city ordinance. Let's take this a point at a time. Your Honor, however well-intentioned the church's actions may be, the sleeping situation of the homeless constitutes a public nuisance. The city ordinance defines a nuisance as an act or failure to act that injuriously affects the safety, health, or morals of the public. Dale Dobbins, Chief Public Health Officer of the City of Urbanopolis, has testified that Pastor Pease failed to act in response to official warnings she personally made, in addition to extensive testimony based on personal observations of the raw sewage, bodily and fecal waste, and trash present on the property which contribute and negatively jeopardize the public health of the city. In the case of Pizza v. Carter, evidence of the general reputation of a place is admissible as existence of the evidence of a nuisance. Sam Bauer, owner of the Viennese coffee shop located across the street, has testified that the area of the church and the surrounding area has received a negative reputation as a result of instances of crime and other instances which Sam Bauer has personally witnessed, which negatively reflect on the reputation of the church and the surrounding area. Now to point 2. The case of the Church of the Lukumi Babalubi City of Hialeah established that a law is neutral and generally applicable need not be justified, even if there is an incidental burden on the practice of religion. Your Honor, the city ordinance is neutral. It does not target any specific religious practice, nor does it even suggest a reference to a church. And as testified by Dale Dobbins, the same public nuisance laws apply to all buildings in the city. The plaintiff's purported lack of the city's similar application to non-religious circumstances is simply unfounded, as no similar situations exist in the city. The city has never been made aware of any area of town where the homeless congregate to such a large extent as they do at the People's Church. Such individual instances of urination or defecation are not by themselves public nuisances. The congregation of the homeless is. Now to point 3. The Lukumi case also determined that even if there is an incidental burden on the practice of religion, it is admissible if enforcement of the law is pursued in a narrowly tailored manner to meet a compelling governmental interest. The case of Pizza v. Carter, the courts gave the city the right to enjoin activities of a public nuisance if it had evidence of a nuisance and evidence that the owner was aware of the activity constituting a public nuisance. The nuisance has already been demonstrated, and moreover, Pastor Pease clearly knew of the nuisance as she testified that she could understand how the church's actions could be considered disorderly conduct. Moreover, Dale Dobbins contacted both Pastor Pease and the People's Church in an official context to alert them to the risk. The city's actions are narrowly tailored and by no means seek to restrict the church's every attempt to help the homeless. The church's food drives, clothing drives, blanket drives, medical care, and outdoor religious services where they can, quote, worship side by side in fellowship have not been halted by the current enjoyment, nor will they be. The case of Chaflin v. Glick established that a compelling governmental interest results if relators have no adequate remedy at law, and if the public welfare will suffer irreparable injury if such course of conduct is permitted to continue. Dr. Patel has agreed that there is an increased risk for the if one's actions obstruct the reasonable use or enjoyment of the property of another, it is also cause for relief. And Sam Bauer has testified that his business has personally been hampered by the homeless he has seen at the People's Church, the homeless who leave and go back to the People's Church. Your Honor, the case of Herman Berman v. United States established that a valid, conscientious objector's claim to religious exemption must be based solely on religious training and not on political, philosophical, social, or moral grounds. Pastor Pease testified that she personally felt that it was morally wrong that the city did not provide for the homeless and open up a shelter. Moreover, Pastor Pease believed her congregation would step up and embrace her own personal, strategic, social plan. And according to the Supreme Court, such an individual is not exempt from obedience to a general law. Your Honor, when the city was faced with the non-compliance of the church to more gentle warnings, it had no other choice but to enforce a neutral public nuisance law to abate the clear and present health risks to the city of Urbanopolis, as the city government has a compelling interest to protect the public health and safety in the interest of all of its citizens, homeless included. For these reasons, we humbly ask you to deny the plaintiff's motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Rebuttal.
Your Honors, opposing counsel argues that it is the city's duty to uphold the public health and safety of the city. Then why haven't they been doing this for the past 3 years if there truly has been a problem? They argue that the sleeping situation of the homeless is also a nuisance, but if it is a nuisance, why is the city not arresting people sleeping elsewhere or congregating elsewhere in the city? Sam Bauer never personally witnessed any of the defecations take place or personally witnessed the panhandling take place. The city ordinance is not neutral. If it is, then why is the city targeting only religious practices and not other problems with the homeless around the city? They cannot place the nuisance on a speculation of how loud music, church music, religious mission music that is being played on the church's property. There is an increased risk of disease anywhere people congregate. Sam Bauer's business, is it declining because of the homeless or because of the new coffee shops surrounding area and the increase of people living in Urbanopolis over the past couple years? The gentle warnings were never official citations. Not one single health citation nor previous notice of a nuisance were issued. The church has met its burden of proof. The city should never be permitted to run its citizens off of church property. The city has attempted to justify their claim that this is a neutral and generally applicable law when they only target the people's church. The church is simply practicing what they preach. Your Honors, all we are asking you to do is to practice what our Constitution requires and grant the people's church injunctive relief. Our Constitution demands nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. At this point, the scoring judges will retire to the conference room.
All rise.
I will remain on the bench for 3 minutes, during which time any protest or objection may be brought to my attention by a team attorney. The team attorneys may communicate with any student team members involved in this particular trial, but may not communicate in any way with legal advisors, teachers, or anyone outside their performing team members in this trial.
Violation has committed.
Thank you.
Your Honor, the defense also has no objections.
All right. Thank you both.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise.
Once again, you're watching the 2008 Ohio High School Mock Trial Championship, coordinated by the Ohio Center for Law-Related Education. We're coming to you from the State House in downtown Columbus. Today, the defense team is Lake Ridge Academy from Lorain County. Acting the part of the prosecution was Centerville High School from the Montgomery County area. These teams, the presiding judges are now going to do their scoring. And while we're waiting for that, Let's talk a little bit about the case. These teams are arguing a church's freedom of religion versus a city's desire to prevent a public nuisance. And while the panel of judges are deciding the case, I have Jared from the Ohio Center of Law-Related Education to tell us a little bit about the center.
We're 25 years old this year. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary, and we were founded as the Ohio Mock Trial Program 25 years ago. The founders wanted a program that would give students a better understanding of the legal system, and what a better way to do it than through a trial. These are original trials written every year, and from the center we understand the educational components that students must think on their feet after they've done the necessary research. They have to look ahead and see what might be some of the opposing arguments. They have to be able to write. So there's some real strong skills that are developed as the students go through these trials.
Yeah, this is just not a kind of a simple case. This was involved. They were actually responding to objections and doing the whole thing an attorney might do.
Absolutely. These are cases that aren't scripted. Many times people will do mock trials and they're scripted and students will read these parts. They have witness statements from which they must then glean this important information and begin to put together their case and in anticipation of what witnesses might say. Now, they do share all of the witness statements, but they have to take those then and build their case. And these students have gone through a number of competitions. There were 300 teams to start, and these are the last 2 teams to be standing, so we'll see who will wind up on top.
Well, what do you hope these students get from this experience?
Well, one, they better understand the trial system and that it's much more difficult than what you might see on TV. Most people think Judge Judy is the legal system. They also understand the Constitution. All of these issues are based on a constitutional issue, so they better understand this concept of church and state, and that is a difficult issue, and that the Constitution is always in debate. And that's why we have the courts and how the courts do interpret, and these kids will experience that firsthand.
So how much time did the students have to prepare for the competitions today?
The competition piece was released at the end of September at our conference, and from that day advisors brought their teams together and they've been working on it from early October until now, constantly revising. Every time they face a new opponent, they have to stop and think and reevaluate how they're going to approach the case.
Now, how is the topic selected? How do they decide what the students are actually going to be arguing for or against?
We have a case committee that will probably be meeting now in a month or so to establish a case for next year. They will determine a constitutional issue that they think is one current and from which the students would learn a great deal, but it's probably something related to current events.
Well, thank you very much. I think we have some of the students right here. Why don't I have one of the students come over here? We'll start with you. This is one of our attorneys. One of our attorneys. And what school are you from?
I'm from Centerville.
So you're from Centerville, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel you did today?
I think everyone did great. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, actually having 2 teams really battle it out, and I felt everyone did great.
So was there any surprises? Was there any times that you thought, wow, that's from left field?
There's always surprises. I mean, I think this one was pretty straightforward. I mean, there was obviously curveballs everywhere, but I think everyone handled it well, so nothing totally shocking.
So what grade are you in?
I'm a junior in high school.
So you have another year?
Yes, I do.
So is law school, do you think, in your future?
Yeah, political science, law school is definitely what I'm looking for.
Are you already looking at schools?
Yeah, kind of searching around, going to visit a few soon.
Well, now you're very tall, so you can tower over the competition.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think we're going to get one of our other attorneys right over here. Hello. So what do you think? What school are you from?
I'm from Centerville High School.
And how did you feel today? How did you feel out there?
I felt like we went against some pretty tough competition out there. Toughest we've seen yet, but of course it's the championship round, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, right at the end there was that procedural thing that you really went for that. What was going on in your head?
Well, if I would get the motion approved to strike the testimony, it would, lower the credibility of the witness. But otherwise, I still thought that the fact that the documents weren't in court was a big issue. So.
And what are your plans right now? What are your plans for the future?
I'm a senior in high school, so I'm attending college next year. I've been accepted to Ohio State and Tulane, and I'm still waiting to hear back from Dartmouth and the University of Virginia.
Wow, so you've got kind of a nice big spread out there. And what do you want to do?
I want to be an attorney, yeah.
And so do you think a program like this helps to secure that kind of future?
Significantly. My father's an attorney, and he says that this would have helped him so much, and just hearing the input and learning how the procedure works and the rules, I think it's an extremely helpful experience.
So your dad is an attorney,
Yeah, he's here right now.
and you want to be an attorney.
Yeah.
So dinner table conversations
Are pretty interesting.
A lot of debate. Do you have ever procedural calls?
No.
Do you have objections?
We don't really talk about that during dinner.
Who would be the presiding judge?
Probably my mother. She pretty much rules the household, so.
So she gets to be the impartial.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations for making it to
you.
this, and
Thank
good
you.
luck.
Thank
with
you
that.
very much.
You betcha. And we have another, I'm assuming now, what school are you from?
I'm from Lake Ridge Academy.
And what do you think?
I think it went really well. You know, it was tough competition. It was really nice to go against a team who actually knew what they were doing, knew the rules of the Ohio mock trial competition. But it was tough, but I think it went well.
I didn't see you actually looking down a lot of your notes. You were just kind of just doing this straight from the head.
Yes.
How long did it take you to prepare for this?
It takes me, I don't know, our entire team, we worked for a really long time. We've actually started practice in October. And you sort of just build it up. You read the case material, you get a greater and, you know, more in-depth understanding. And then from there you write your opening statements, you write your closing statements, you write your arguments. And then, you know, by the end of it, you just know it's you can just rattle it off.
So do you feel nervous out there? How do you feel out there?
Since this year we had the privilege and pleasure of going second, I sort of got to see what my competition was prior to going, and so that either made me more nervous or eased the pain a little bit.
Were there any surprises that you felt that were going on out on the floor, things left field stuff?
No, the judges, all 6 of them, they were actually one of the most helpful groups that I think I've ever presented before. And it was actually really nice to sort of have them there, you know, sort of coaching you along, and that's unknown.
What do you do to prepare to get yourself ready for this?
My team, we create mock trial music mixes, and we jam out to the music mixes, and we just reread everything the night before and just keep rereading it and just...
So this music mix, like it's law music? I mean, what do you, the Star Spangled Banner?
We have everything from country to rap to like Latino to, I mean, it's just fun music that gets us hyped up and in the mood, ready to go.
It's good, ready to just be intact. Now, where are you planning to go to school?
I'm actually a junior in high school, so I still have some time, but I am thinking about something big city. I really like Boston College, Seton Hall University, Fordham, and Boston University, and sort of College of Charleston. There's a long list.
And what do you hope to become?
I want to do something in international relations, hopefully maybe work for the UN one day, human rights violations, something of that sort, so human rights law maybe, but definitely something international.
So do you want to go into law?
I do, but I'm very picky on the type of law I would go into, so it would have to be human rights law, international law. I don't know if I could do sort of civil action or anything like that.
So how did you pick getting involved in the whole mock trial?
Actually, my only and older sister, she is going to law school as grad school, and she did it in high school, and she just kind of pushed me into it. I'm the second sibling, and I'm following in her footsteps.
So you went ahead, and when did you start actually what part of the school year do you actually start getting involved with the trial program?
You can actually start as a freshman, which is when I started as a freshman. I was one of the few who started as a freshman lawyer. Most freshmen start as witnesses, and then from there you just kind of keep going.
That's great. Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Making it here, and good luck.
Thank you.
And we have some decidedly not high school students right here.
Go ahead. Hi, I'm Richard Carr. I'm legal advisor, or head legal advisor for Centerville High School. And this is Scott King, and I'll let him tell who he is as well, one of our legal advisors.
I think you've already met my daughter, Kelsie.
Great. So how do you think it went out there today?
Thanks. I think both sides were marvelous. I think that under the circumstances with the TV lights and being in front of real judges, both sides performed very well.
Now, not only are they really looking at the points of the case, but they have to present it in a way that meets the legal kind of demands. So they have a number of pressures. How do kids assume to that task?
Well, we start out by making them understand the legal issues in the case, so we spend a month with them on the legal issues before they even get into trial technique or any of the mechanics that you saw out here today. We put a lot of time into that, and then once we've got things conceptualized, we start bringing in a lot of people to work with them. We've got 5 legal advisors who've assisted this year.
Now, they're not reading from scripts. I mean, what's happening on the floor while we're watching this is actually happening. It's not just something that's already plotted out.
It is not. They have been schooled to act and think like lawyers, to think on their feet. And one of the skills that a lawyer has to develop is the ability to react to what has happened shortly before, seconds before. And I think that's one of the major strengths that you've seen in both teams, trying to react to things that just happened and try to deal with them.
So what's it like watching this? Now that you've coached them through here, are there moments where you want to shout out, "I object"?
You have to restrain yourself, but on the other hand, it is a great pleasure both as a parent and as a advisor to see someone perform so well under such extreme circumstances.
Let me say it's torture, absolute torture. It's awful.
Watching this as a participant or as a viewer, it's phenomenal to really watch. You were watching basically a real trial. It's too bad we're not able to cover those on TV. We do cover the Supreme Court on the Ohio channel, though. So why don't we bring in some more of our students over here. Thank you very much. Hello. Come on over here. So you are from what school?
I'm from Lake Ridge Academy.
So how do you feel it went?
I think it went okay. I mean, obviously I'm going to be my own worst critic no matter what I do, but we managed to make all the points that we wanted to make, and I think we presented the best version of the trial that we could.
So how did you prepare for this? How do you gear up for the trial?
Well, I think it depends on a lot of things. Obviously, when you first start out, it depends on reading the memorandum and the case law to try to get a really good understanding of what the legal issues are. Then it goes to preparing direct and cross questions and training the witnesses on how and what specific things we want them to address. And then, of course, there's the fun stuff of just trying to relax for trial and all that. So.
Now, I'm not sure if everybody understands that you've actually been participating in contests for the past 2 days. You've been up here?
Yeah, the state competition is actually a 2-day-long competition. It started out on Thursday where our half and then the plaintiff side of our team both went, and we had a trial. We also had a trial this morning when we actually ran here from the other courthouse in the steep sprint in the snow and heels. It was quite a mess, let me tell you.
We were supposed to be doing this tomorrow, but they moved it up because of the weather. So what was that? Do you like the fact that you just went from one into the next, or do you think that's a lot of pressure?
I think it works in one of two ways. I mean, it was obviously easier to just go straight into it. Our last trial went well as well, so to have that momentum going in was really nice. In terms of the timing, it was a little bit rushed. I was kind of brushing the snow out of my hair as I was coming in, and it might have been nice if my suit could have completely dried before I came to court.
And what are your plans? What are your plans for the future?
Well, I'm a senior in high school, so in the fall I'll be attending Brown University.
Brown University, and what are you going to be studying?
I'm looking to study cognitive neuroscience and linguistics, and I'm really looking to go into some type of policy or research work with that.
So why did you get involved with the trial system if you weren't going to be, with the mock trials, if you weren't going to be going into law?
It was a really interesting thing. I started out doing it in 8th grade. I participated as a witness my freshman year, as an attorney from the time I was a sophomore, and I really just enjoyed preparing the arguments. One of my really guilty pleasures is the fact that I like to work on different arguments and observe other people's personalities and how they react to different things and how to counter and debate. And so it was actually kind of a nice diversion from the things that I'm normally studying, to be perfectly honest.
And so you're going into cognitive science.
Mm-hmm.
So you will know in a cognitive way that actually winning arguments are a key to success.
So I hear, I think this is hopefully going to bode well for me in the future. So.
Well, congratulations for coming here, and then also good luck on the outcome.
Thank you very much.
And we have another high school student here from a couple of years ago. Yeah, can you tell me your name?
Sure, Rich Sweeby.
And what were you doing?
Coaching the LRA team.
So what was it like sitting on the sidelines watching this?
Well, a lot of, frankly, pleasure seeing the level of the competition and the performances.
Were there ever times that you wanted to shout out and answer or guide them along in a certain way?
Well, no. Actually, sort of sitting there on pins and needles when certain objections would be made, for example, and just waiting to hear what the response and what the argument's back, and will they pull it off or will they argue appropriately, and was phenomenal responses on both sides.
How do you begin to even get the students ready to answer some of these questions? How do you prepare them for that?
We started out earlier in the year with the basic trial process and procedures and the different stages of trial, going through those manuals, the how-to, how not to, the protocols, procedures for the trial, and then we started practicing directs, crosses, openings, closings, and all the things in between.
How much time in a given week or a given month do students practice for this?
When they're coming up to these kinds of stages of this process, they spend perhaps 3-4 hours an evening, every evening, especially coming up to this. Some of the evenings, 6 hours. So there's a lot of intense preparation.
And so this is the third trial argument that your team made in the last 2 days?
Well, we had, yes, 2 yesterday, and this is 2 today, so
it's 4.
4.
So there's 4. So they're starting to really see. Now, are a lot of the cases different in terms of the arguments that are made, or do they start to fall into the same kind of similar arguments?
It's interesting that you see different approaches or different spins on certain things. What one will see as important, another will ignore. But you get the insights of the uniqueness of perspectives, perhaps, and where one made a good point in one trial, the other one didn't bring it out as well.
And how long has your school been participating in the trial, in the mock trial program?
Lake Ridge has been doing this for, I think it's about 10 years, 10, 15 years. I've only been with them a couple years.
Do you know how many times they've made it to state?
They've been to state several times. I'm going to guess maybe 4, but it's been a few times. This is as far as they've gotten. I mean, this is the highest that they've gotten.
Well, congratulations for making it here, and then good luck
for
the outcome.
Thank you.
And we have another one. This is one of our witnesses, one of our expert witnesses. I believe you played the part of the public health official.
I did.
So how do you prepare for being a witness?
Well, first off, you read the deposition, you read it again, and then you start to kind of you start to make up stuff outside that never really gets into trial, but to help flesh out the character. Like, what does this character carry in her pockets? Where does this character go after work? And things like that. To kind of get a believable character that when you sit on the stand, you're not thinking, okay, how do I answer this and how do I act like a public health official? You just kind of do when you get there.
Well, it's interesting because there was a big procedural argument about your role of answering the questions as to your expertise. So you were kind of put in an even a hot seat.
Yeah, I did not see that coming. I think, thankfully, my lawyer, I think, dug us out of it at least pretty well. So, but I didn't see that coming. But as soon as I caught on, it was like, okay, have to turn this around somehow.
Now, with all the cross-questioning, you don't really know what they're going to ask.
I have some ideas because a lot of the times, based on the case, a lot of people will bring the same general points up. So I know what weaknesses I have to kind of cover and what strengths I want to emphasize. But as far as the exact questions, no. And this team, I commend this team because a lot of the teams, I haven't been surprised, and every time they ask a question, I know where it's going. But this one, they brought some questions that I didn't know where they were going, so I commend them.
Yeah, what year are you in school?
I'm a senior.
You're a senior, so you have college plans.
Yes, I'm attending Reed College next fall.
Reed College, and what are you going to be studying?
Mathematics.
Math.
Yes.
Very interesting. So I'll ask the question to you. Why did you participate in the mock trial program if you're not going into law?
Well, in addition to enjoying doing math for fun, I'm a neat nerd, geek, and I also do a lot of theater outside of school. And theater is a big thing for me, and I feel like being a witness combines acting with logical reasoning. So it's kind of logic meets acting, and those are two things I love, the union of which I love, QED.
That's very interesting. So what do you hope to do with your mathematics degree?
Well, if I continue on my current trajectory, I'll probably head out of undergrad into graduate school, and I hope to become a math professor.
Oh, great. You can make algebra easier. That should be your number one goal.
I don't know if I can do that.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations for making it here, and good luck.
Thank you.
And what school are you from?
I'm from Centerville.
And what role did you play today?
Well, I have 2 roles, but in this trial, I played Pastor Pease.
You were the pastor.
I was indeed.
How did you prepare for this?
Well, see, I'm a lawyer for the defense. So I initially read what Pastor Pease is, his statement or her statement, and then I formulated cross questions for it to see how I could react and all of those things, and I also act. So I just sort of tried to figure out who Pastor Pease was.
Were you surprised by any of the questions?
No. Actually, what they formulated was what our defense has, but what I was not surprised about, but their lawyer did a really nice job of reining in my answers and making me answer yes or no, which, makes it harder.
How did you get into the mindset of the pastor role? How could you answer those things?
I've just read it so many times, and I've thought about how she would think or how the religious mission would mean to her, and I just tried to portray that.
What year are you in school?
I'm a senior.
You're a senior, so that means you're going to college in the fall.
I am, yes.
Where are you going to go?
I'm going to be in the honors program at Ohio State.
OSU.
Yes, go Buckeyes. And I'm majoring in political science and international relations.
And what do you hope to do with that?
I hope to become a lawyer and later on in life become a politician.
Oh, wow. Well, this is the place for that. So how do you feel that the mock trial, the whole organization, how has that helped you with your decisions?
One of the main points that my coach and our team tried to portray or tried to find in the mock trial program is we try to find a window into the adult future. And I think that it does a great job of doing that. We put in 10 plus hours a week on the same case. We started in October, and I think with ups and downs, we've dealt with those, and we've learned how to deal with those.
And how did you get interested in the whole law field, the legal field?
In the legal field, well, I've always been interested in politics since I was really little. And I heard an announcement my junior year, this is my second year, about mock trial. I was really genuinely interested in the whole legal process, and law and politics sort of go hand in hand, and I just kind of fell in love with law.
So it wasn't television, it was just you were looking at a much more substantive way.
Yes.
Well, congratulations for making it here.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thank you.
It's a final decision. And I think now we have, this is Dr. Patel, I think, the character.
Yes.
And can you just tell us what school you're from?
I'm from the Centerville team.
And how did you get involved with the mock trial program?
Well, truthfully, I didn't even know we had a mock trial team, and then my friend over there, she was on it last year, so I talked to her and she told me to do it, and it sounded like fun, so I decided to do it.
So not only did you have to learn all of the legal issues about what you were going to be dealing with, you also had to become a doctor.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to think like a doctor because, and when you're a witness, you can't go up there and say like and all the time, and I'm like a really big like person, so it was like really hard for me.
And so how do you feel everything went out there?
I think everything went really well. Both sides were really prepared, and there were a couple of really good points they hit on, but I thought we did really well too, so.
And what year are you in school?
I'm a sophomore.
You're a sophomore, so you've got two. What are you leaning toward right now? What does the future hold for the doctor? The doctor lawyer.
I kind of want to be a writer, a journalist, maybe, possibly. I don't know.
So how do you see that the mock trial program is going to help you with your future goals?
I like kind of public speaking because I do speech too. And this is kind of like it because you have to go up and you have to be comfortable in your role and stuff. So I thought this would just help me just in general, people skills and speaking skills and stuff like that.
Was there anything that happened today out in the witness stand that you pulled from thin air? That came out of left field and you had to use some of your acting, thinking on your feet skills?
I kind of just, there was a couple questions where I didn't really know what to say, so I kind of just made something up.
It's called thinking on your feet.
Yeah.
That's a very good skill, yes.
Do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And good luck. Good luck with the final. And I believe this is our bailiff.
I'm a bailiff today, in this trial, but I am actually a witness for our defense team also.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit how many members are on the team? What school are you from?
I'm from Centerville.
Okay, so how many members are actually on the team?
Well, on our team today, we have 6 members. We have a other team, but they didn't make it past regionals.
So who decides when who actually shows up there?
Well, our coaches put us into teams in the beginning, and our other team competed in districts also, but they didn't make it past, but we did. So it's like we have 2 different teams.
Well, congratulations and
Thank
good
you.
luck. It looks like they're getting ready for the final decision,
Yes,
so I think we're going to join them downstairs right now. You've been watching the Ohio Channel, our coverage of the Ohio mock trial competition. Once again, congratulations to the winning team. And if you want to see further episodes of See This Again, you can go to www.ohiochannel.org.
All rise. Court is now back in session.
All of the judges, I would tell you sincerely that it was a pleasure to judge this competition, but I want the judges to speak for themselves. So we'll start at this end and let each judge give you their individual comments.
First, you should recognize that there's plenty of adult real attorneys that don't do as well as you guys did. Second, you should know that within the offices of the ACLU, both within our office and national conferences and online and everything, we debate within our organization this very issue that you were talking about today. So it was a real pleasure to hear you guys address this issue. Lastly, I would just like to say that should any of you decide to go to law school and become lawyers, look up the ACLU in 8 years, because we can always use good volunteer attorneys to work on our cases. Thank you very much. It was a real pleasure.
I would echo that. You all did a great job. Really enjoyed listening to it. I would just note, I thought the high point among many high points was the motion to strike the expert witness, which I thought was very well set up and then was very well made. And then I thought you did a great job, even though you were blindsided by it, I think. Did a very excellent job defending that, and the witness did a very good job, I thought, trying to recover from it. But there were many others, but I just noted that as one particular high point, and I thought you all did a great job. Congratulations to all of you.
Well, I likewise felt that everybody was terrific. This is the second time I saw this team, and what amazed me, obviously you won the prior round too, but I was amazed how much better you were 2 hours later than you were this morning. I don't know how you did that, but I thought you improved significantly, and that was very impressive. For what it's worth, one argument I think you missed is one of the cases you were given was this employment division versus Smith case, that Supreme Court case out of Oregon. And it seemed to me that might have enabled you to argue that, look, we don't have to prove a compelling state interest. As long as our law is a generally applicable law and we're neutrally applying it, the First Amendment isn't even implicated. I think that's what that Smith case says. And it seems to me that could have been your first argument. Then your fallback argument is, and if the First Amendment is implicated and we have to show a compelling interest, that then we had one. And we did narrowly tailor what we did, but it seemed to me you might have been able to make that even stronger argument in the first instance. But I thought everybody was brilliant. I can tell you I didn't know who my score sheet would tell me won until I got back there, and it was certainly very close. So great job, everybody.
Likewise, I think you did a tremendous job. This is, I think, the third or fourth year I've had the pleasure of doing this. This is one of the nicest things I get to do, and I really look forward to it. Both teams were incredibly prepared. The knowledge of facts that I heard and when you made your invention of facts arguments, I mean, you obviously knew this forward and backwards. Objections, there were a lot of objections, but generally you had very good objections, and rarely do you get to hear such good arguments on both sides of objections, and you did a great job. The adjectives that you used were superlative, I think. You know, from the beginning, I mean, obviously you're framing your case in different ways, but in the beginning, when in opening statements, when the plaintiff used the term interference with calling, the church's calling, and on the defense side, on the other hand, you described it as just an incidental burden. And you carried that through in your closing arguments, both sides did a good job of weaving together the facts and the law. So it's been a real pleasure getting to see you perform today.
Well, my quandary is that the low-hanging fruit has been plucked, and to come up with anything independent, I'd have to go through my notes, and we'd be here about 15 minutes. So I just think that this was one of the, I have judged the final round now for quite a few years, but this is one of the best at this level that I have seen, and I didn't spot a weakness anywhere, so I commend you.
I can only ditto what's been said. It's true that it's a pleasure to be a judge when you have prepared, competent counsel working in front of you. And it was a pleasure today because you were prepared and competent. I commend all of you. And now we have some specific awards to make. When I make these awards, I'm going to ask all of you to be respectful of the other people who are in the room. And I would like to first award the Outstanding Witness to Diane Colley. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Great job. Congratulations. And the Outstanding Attorney Award goes to Rubina Ratnaparkhi.
My name is Natalie. I'm the high school mock trial coordinator. We'd now like to take a moment to recognize all the students and team members we have with us today. I know in playing plaintiff and defense, not everyone has opportunity to participate here at this moment, but I know you've certainly participated a lot over the last several months. We'd like to recognize you at this time, so please come forward as I call your name and stand up here as a group. From Centerville High School, we have advisor Mr. Scott Long, legal advisor Richard Carr. Students, we have Radiki Raja, Rita Fishman, Adam Kouroupas, Christine Lee, Kelsie King, and Meagan Woodall. Let's take a moment to recognize them. We also have with us today from Lake Ridge Academy, our advisor, Dr. Mosendar, Ms. Hillary Sparks Roberts, Teresa Jenkins, legal advisors Kevin Roberts and Richard Sweeby, and students Rubina Ratnaparkhi, Kendall Szulewski-Francis, Diane Colley, Dominic Gazzo, Zachary Sweeby, Isaac Gilbert, Alex Podozak, Stacy Hoff, Matt Nahorn, and Erica Lasky. Thank you so much.
And now it's time to present to the runner-up and winning teams. If you all can believe me, it was an excruciatingly difficult decision. The performances here today were outstanding, but we had to come to a decision. And so I would like to announce first the runner-up team, and that goes to Centerville. Congratulations. Congratulations. Wonderful job.
Good job.
And the winning team is Lake Ridge Academy. Did she leave?
No,
Addie, you need to present the... Can we scoot? Are you going to do a semicircle here? Can you get the semicircle?
It's not a circular firing squad, is it? Yeah.
On behalf of the Centerville team, I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you all so much for all your work and effort.
Again, our congratulations to both teams. You were outstanding, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
You've been watching the Ohio Channel's coverage of the Ohio Mock Trial Competition. Once again, congratulations to the winning team, Lake Ridge Academy. They will head to the National Championships in Washington, D.C. To purchase copies of this program or to view it free online, visit us online at ohiochannel.org. Or if you've gotten a legal fix and you want to watch the Supreme Court online, you can go to ohiochannel.org. For all of us at the Ohio Channel, I'm Dan Schellenbarger, and thank you for watching.